right, greetings everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. Yeah, I'm sorry that we're slightly late getting started here. We had a few little issues backstage, just technical stuff, but we got that all resolved now, and we are all good to go. So yeah, this is like the third Drinkers VIP lounge, and it's going to be a great one tonight. The guest that I'm bringing on tonight. Really excited to talk to him. He's been in some of the best movies ever made and some of my absolute favorites of all time. So it should be awesome. And just before we actually kick off, I just want to say thank you to Renee from Pros and Cons Celebrity Booking for helping to arrange this. Absolutely brilliant to be able to have him on. And thanks to Rick as well for helping to set it up. So, yes, I have got the one and only Mark Rolston, Drake from Aliens. Hello, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on VIP Lounge today.
Hey man, thank you so very much. Where are you hailing from?
I
Scotland.
am from Scotland, yes.
My one of my favorite places in the world. I love Edinburgh.
Ah, nice one, man. Yeah, you've been up there before.
Oh, many times I performed there way back in 1976.
Oh, man, that is awesome.
In Strindberg's Miss Julie, and went back about say 4 or 5 years ago, pre-pandemic, with my son, and we had I have a love affair with Edinburgh.
Yeah, it's a lovely city. It's very historical. There's a whole bunch of like really old stuff there. It's great, you know. There's some really good pubs as well I can recommend.
I can attest to that.
But yeah, man, honestly, it's great to talking to you tonight. And like I was saying, you know, you have had a remarkable career, going all the way back to the 1980s, and well, before that, even like the you've been performing way back in the 70s. You've been in some incredible movies, some incredible TV shows as well. You know, and I guess you know the thing that people are going to know you for best, or at least one of the biggest movies you were in. You know, a little indie movie called Aliens. You know, people might have heard of it. As far as I know, that was your first big screen role.
Not exactly. I had done a couple movies prior to that, but
Okay.
I wouldn't say that those films were like smash blockbuster hits like Aliens was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
was in Revolution with Al Pacino, the Hugh Hudson, famous director of Chariots of Fire. I was in that movie, and then I did a movie called Daryl, Dayrl, a science fiction film of sorts. Didn't appear to like the last sort of three to 5 minutes of the film, and my father admonished me saying, "Don't ever ask me to watch something you're in when you only appear at the very end of it," because he didn't have a great attention span. So yeah,
yeah.
I never did that again.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I should ask, like, what was it that drew you to acting initially? What got you into it?
Well, initially, my father was a single parent with three young kids, and he had a pretty high-powered job with IBM. And weekends was his time to, catch up, pay bills, do the laundry. So he kind of kicked us out of the house for Saturdays, and he just said, "I don't care what you do, just take your pick, go do something." So my sister did ballet, my brother played the guitar, and I went by bus all the way to downtown Washington D.C., where they had a small theater called the Washington Theater Club, and they had weekend just group children's classes, and I went down there, got a lot of feedback about hey, you're good, and continued on there for a while. But that's really just filling time while my dad was keeping the house.
Yeah.
And then
And
off of that, the Arena Stage, which is a professional house in Washington D.C., they asked me to turn professional, and it was like I was 10 years old, and my father said no. He said, "No, you need to finish your education." He said, "Look, as soon as you finish high school, do what you like, but up until then, it's like, nah, you're going to get educated first." So I remember I was upset when he told me that, but in retrospect, I think it was a wise decision because having been just grounded with education, and then I eventually landed in the UK. I trained at the Drama Center, which is fairly famous for turning out some decent actors like Colin Firth and Michael Fassbender, and Tom Hardy, and myself, and some others.
yeah,
So,
moderately successful guys,
yeah, so I mean, but the training that we received at the Drama Center, certainly my group, like as I was leaving Drama Center, Colin Firth was just coming in. So I had an occasion recently. I was on the cast of the remake of Roots, the famous television show.
Mm-hmm.
This is pre-pandemic. And what happened was I was sitting at a producer's dinner, and this young man, Reggae Jean Page, he's one of the stars of Bridgerton,
Mm-hmm.
right? So anyway, Reggae was sitting down the table, and one of the producers said, "So where did you train?" I said, "I trained at the Drama Center in London." And Reggae looked at me and said, "Well, I went to the Drama Center." I said, "Oh, really? What group were you in?" And he said, "Oh, I'm in group 45. What group are you in?" And I said, "Oh God, you're gonna date me now." It's like I was in group 16. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the training there was just beyond compare. It certainly probably is the foundation of all my success, actually.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna ask, and when you talk about being in the UK, there, I know when they were casting for Aliens. Because the movie was filmed over in the UK, as I understand, there was a lot of pressure to cast exclusively within the UK initially to try and get their actors, and then they were able to broaden out from there. I mean, were you back in the States when the casting went out for this movie, or were you in the UK at the time?
no, I finished drama school at the Drama Center. I was actually married, and my son had just been born. We were living in Ealing, and actual fact, when the production started back then, they used to have a thing whereby if a production was going to bring so many Americans over from Hollywood, they had to have a requisite number of British actors equity,
Hmm.
and there was quite a community of American actors, Canadian actors in the UK, and from that pool, I don't know exactly how many auditioned for Aliens, but I went through the ordinary process of being um, you know called up for an audition. In fact, my first interview wasn't really an audition; it was just a meeting with Gail Ann Hurd, Jim's then wife and famous producer,
Hmm.
whereby I received the proverbial, "So, what have you been up to?" And I quickly launched into the biggest yarn of my entire life. I don't know what possessed me, but I just finished Revolution with Al Pacino, and when I told the story, with some embellishment, of course, um, it made it sound as though I had the next best part to Pacino. And Gail Ann Hurd was impressed enough that she then hauled me back about a week or two later to meet Jim, during which time I actually read, and all the actors read Hudson's part, Bill Paxton's role.
Yeah.
And then at the same meeting, he said, "Look, I want you to read this other part." So he handed me Drake. And then another few weeks later, I finally got hauled out to Pinewood Studios, walked into Jim's office, which was amazing because I tell this story often. But as I entered the room, it's like this is seared in my memory. Jim's a very fine artist, right?
Hmm.
He had the entire storyboard of the film plastered in sequence all the way around all four walls, just plastered. It was extraordinary. Um, I actually asked Jim recently, I said, "Do you still have that storyboard?" He goes, "Yeah, it's in a box somewhere." I said, "Wow, you should really pull that out, publish it as a coffee table book, because all Aliens fans would just love to see your, hand-drawn vision of the film." And I will bet, I'd be willing, not having seen it that once, I would bet it's an exact replica to what's on screen.
I was yeah, I was gonna say this because I mean, you'll know better than I will, but as I understand it, Cameron's a pretty exacting director. Like he knows exactly what he wants to get out of a scene, what he wants to get out of his actors, and I imagine he doesn't stop until he makes that happen.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. I mean, he came up in an era where Jim has done every single job on a set, so he knows everyone's job, but the actors. I don't think he's. I wouldn't say he's not a real actor's director.
mhm.
He's a technician. He's a visionary. I mean, he's amazing. Um, but yeah, when it came to direction, I mean, he had an idea of what he wanted the dialogue to be, but he spent most of his time sort of reining Paxton in because Bill, you gave him. He'd
Yeah.
sit there and he just riff until it was like Bill doing the recitation of the Odyssey. Um, but yeah, he was a great director, and he was on the hook for any overages on the budget. So I know Jim was just trying to do the best job that he could, and get the absolute best film. His vision, he had that vision for over 8 years, 10 years. Yeah, he wrote the spec to Aliens, and then waited another 8 years before he actually got the money to make it at Fox.
I mean, it's remarkable, really, because I guess nowadays we're very used to sequels and stuff, but back then to say we're going to be doing a sequel to Alien, but we're going to be doing it 8 years later after the movie has come out. It's a relatively long space of time to then be doing a sequel, and you almost wonder, had the initial excitement about that original movie died down by that point. And it's quite interesting that they were able to get it made, and particularly by putting a different spin on it, by saying we're not just going to do another horror movie in space. This is going to be an action, sci-fi action movie, but it's still going to have a lot of those elements in it. But they just, I mean, looking at the movie now, I couldn't see how they could have done a better job. It's just perfect.
It really
It's
is.
one of those movies I can watch it anytime. If it's on TV, I can just sit down and watch it, and it's as entertaining as the first time I saw it when I was like 9 years old, and it scared the crap out of me. You know?
I know, but I think you're right. I mean, last time I caught it, I just marveled. I mean, no CGI. This is all camera movement, lighting, and just practical miniature effects. But when you look at the film, it's not dated. I mean, it's near flawless.
No way.
It's flawless. I mean, it's still, you get brought into the world that Jim created, and it's a believable world. And that's the real centerpiece of the film, is that he was successful in making you believe there were these space marines being deployed and on a corporate mission, but and that's all testament to Jim, really.
I mean,
sorry.
I was just going to say, like, everything just looks like, exactly like you say, everything in the film looks believable. The armor that they wear, the weapons, the equipment that they have, the vehicles, everything looks, rugged and usable. And I don't know if this is true, but I heard that when they first designed the armor for the Marines, Jim had said to Bill Paxton, like, right, we want to test this, because originally it had all this stuff attached to it, like plastic, laser things and all that stuff. He said, right, Bill, put this on and then run down the corridor, and I want you to bump into the walls and see what happens. And so he did it, and like he ran down, all this stuff broke off it because it was just cheap, like plastic. It was delicate. And Cameron had said to the prop guys, no, I want this designed so that he can do that and nothing will fall off. It needs to be durable. It needs to look like it works. And if that's the case, that is awesome. Like, that attention to detail is just brilliant.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't recall that exact story, but I know there was an afternoon we'd been rehearsing in the morning. And then Jim sort of said, "Hey, everybody, pack up your stuff, follow me." We walked with him across the Pinewood lot, and we arrived at the art department, up some wooden stairs into this just room filled with bits and pieces of leather and bone and paint brushes and paint pots. And he was like, "Okay, personalize your stuff," and he walked out. And we were like, "What?" And it was just like, and so all of us, whatever you see was actually created by each actor, which was interesting. And interesting to note that, Michael Biehn, who took over from James Remar, he had to just take on and adopt whatever James Remar had put onto his armor.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, you guys did a lot of, like, I guess you got put through like a bit of training, a bit of a boot camp kind of thing, so you would bond with each other. You knew each other a little bit.
Yep.
It came across on screen, but Michael Biehn was that last minute replacement, and so he didn't get that opportunity to do that with you.
Right.
So did that, was that a problem, or did he fit in okay once he came in?
I think the most admirable thing about Michael's takeover is that it's amazing. He got noticed and was on set within 2 days. Had to launch himself into almost James Remar's costume and props, and it was pretty seamless. And Michael, of course, knew Jim from Terminator, and he knew Bill, and Michael did a phenomenal job, I think.
It's when you were talking about personalizing your gear, like it's funny because I'm looking at a picture of you in the background of this stream, where you're with Vasquez there, and you've got like something hanging from your hat, and I don't, for the life of me, I can never figure out what it is. It's like this long kind of thing hanging from your cap there.
Yeah, it's leather and chicken bones. Seriously.
You just put it together. I like it.
Well, that's what was there. I mean, it was like, really the oddest things were on this table, and you could choose what you wanted. So I kind of went with the chicken bones. I don't know.
Yeah, no, why not? Why not?
Maybe Drake grew up on KFC. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the picture that I've got there, like I say, it's you and Jeanette Goldstein, and the thing that blew my mind when I was a kid is that I saw her in Aliens, and then I saw Terminator 2, and I didn't find out until years later almost that she was the same actor, because she looks so different. In Aliens, she's made to look like a Latina because she's got the body paint and everything to give her the complexion and everything. And you see her in Terminator 2 as the mother, and she's got like red hair and pale skin and freckles and stuff. And it's like, I can't believe that's the same person. She looks so incredibly different. And I've heard this story so many times that when she auditioned for the role, she thought it was going to be a story about illegal immigrants in the United States or something, and so she dressed herself up to look like a Latina, and so they just went with that, and that's what they joked about even in the movie.
Yeah.
Is that true? Is that actually true?
It's actually true. It's actually true. Fascinating though. Yeah. That would have been a tremendous faux pas. It would never happen today. If studio actually like hired a Caucasian actress to play a Latina and painted her up, it's huge like Black Lives Matter faux pas. But amazing that Jeanette, who really is a lovely Jewish girl from Beverly Hills, pulled it off, and she had finished drama school, I believe at the Webber Douglas School in London, and she had been training as a bodybuilder, so she was ripped. She made all of the rest of the guys look like wimps because she was just ripped up. Looked great.
No, she looks great, and you can tell she put in the work. It's something that they talk about obviously a lot nowadays, that they want these strong female characters on screen, and people like myself have pointed out, well, hey, they did it like 35 years ago and they were awesome. You had two of them in this movie, in fact, like Sigourney Weaver and Jeanette.
Absolutely.
And both awesome characters, both great actresses.
Yeah, I remember, my daughters and I, and we all went to see Wonder Woman, and it was a great feat. It was wonderful, but as you say, this already happened. Sigourney was the pioneer. Sigourney, with her role in Aliens, she was the first woman to earn $1 million.
Oh, really?
And she had to fight Jim, and Jim fought alongside her to get her that. Sigourney's phenomenal. Not only was she just iconic female super action hero, but she kind of walks the walk. She was very much on everyone's side throughout the shoot. She was a catalyst in making sure that the British crew and Cameron sort of patched up their differences and we could get on with the job of making the movie. She's an amazing woman.
Yeah. I had heard that there was quite a lot of tension between Cameron and the film crew, because I know British productions, they're quite regimented in when they can have breaks and the working hours that they'll do. And obviously, I guess Cameron's quite a hard driving guy, and if he wanted to get a scene done, he wanted to get it done, even if it meant doing some overtime.
Well, he was really upset about tea breaks. That's
the most British thing ever.
In fact, and it was all precipitated by one day we were in the massive soundstage that they had recreated into the moonscape, and they had these massive doors, and all of a sudden we just finished shooting something, and it was tea time, like 11 a.m., and the doors start to part, and silhouetted, with the sunlight behind, was this little woman, Daphne, who was wheeling her little cart into this soundstage with, a pot of tea and a pot of coffee and some really lousy sandwiches, mainly cucumber or cheese.
Yeah.
And Jim was just infuriated. He was like, "What is this? This is ridiculous. We don't stop filming, to gather around a metal cart and have tea and sandwiches. It's like, come on." Because in the States, we always have our craft service table where there's stuff available all day long. You go and pick when you want to pick. It wasn't like a break to go off and have tea. But as you said, it's a British institution that is well loved by all.
Yeah, it's so funny to think of making this movie where you've got, like these big Marines going around with their like rifles and like aliens and all this horrific stuff, like these big crazy sets, and just this little tea lady coming in with her her cucumber sandwiches.
Oh boy.
But no, when you talked about the practical effects and stuff, and this is definitely something I agree with. Like it's so easy nowadays to resort to computer animation to do all this stuff. I think if you made this film now, the aliens would all be CGI'd, and it would, they'd probably be faster and more agile than they were in this movie, where it's probably guys in suits and so on. But it just looked nowhere near as good. There's something just great about knowing that it's practical effects and it's real stuff. And it probably, as an actor, for you, it helps so much that you've got things to actually react to, and
Yeah,
you don't just have to
sure.
picture like something in front of you.
Absolutely. And that's all testament to the great Stan Winston, who
Yeah.
created all those things. And the story I like to tell, there was an afternoon when you were in the disused power station up in Acton,
Hmm.
and it was like a 4-story building, and very desolate and cold and dirty. But anyway, I was up on the 4th floor looking at where they had the area where they entombed people, where the victims were entombed by the alien, and where they would give birth to the face hunters.
Hmm.
So Stan was working behind the set, and he was shot. I said, "Oh wow, what are you doing?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, see, this is the lever we use to propel the alien forward out of the chest." I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." He said, "Yeah, go around the front. I'll show you how it works." Now, mind you, I had just seen how it works. He popped that thing, and the thing came wriggling out in my face, and I leapt about, and I almost went over the side of the railing, and I thought to myself, "Oh my god, I just had the crap scared out of me,"
Yeah.
and I knew what they were doing. So imagine what's going to happen when the audience sees it. And sure enough, premiere night in Westwood, California, Paxton and I are sitting together, and when the moment came, the first time the thing appears, and all the penguins just leapt out of their seats, and it was like this wave, and Paxton just grabbed my arm and he said, "Dude, this is gonna be awesome." It was quite amazing.
It's it's funny when you mentioned there as well that everyone kind of read for the Hicks role. Sorry, no, the Hudson role.
Yeah.
Because you can't imagine anyone except Bill playing that role now. When you see what he did with it, like that, I've held that character up before as like he's got more development, just this little side character in this movie, than most like real main characters in films nowadays. The
Yeah.
the idea that he's this like wannabe badass who's acting tough, and then when he's up against it, like he kind of falls apart because he doesn't really know what to do. But then eventually he rallies and redeems himself at the end and just goes out like an absolute boss. And it's a great little character arc for him, and he plays it so well. He's got so much energy about him, and just some of his lines are fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Cameron was always having to rein him in because Bill would go off, and occasionally Jim would be like, Jim, he's like, "Bill, don't say that. Like say that. Don't say that." Bill, God bless him. He was the glue to the entire cast, and It was amazing. Like Aliens is the only film in my entire career where I'm still in touch with and keep track of almost the entire cast.
Yeah.
We see each other quite often, and when we do, we hang out. Like I just got back from New Orleans, where it was Bill Hope and Rico Ross and I.
Yeah.
But I see Jeanette often. It's yeah. But yeah,
No.
but that's a rare occurrence. I don't know if it was just the camaraderie we built on the set, or just the fact that it was such an amazing hit film. I mean, it's the film that got me to Hollywood, so I always have a soft spot in my heart for that.
Yeah. I mean, seeing how much enthusiasm, how much love there is still for this film, like so many years later. Um, did you have any sense that it was going to be like that at the time? Did you feel like we were creating something quite special here, or was
Well,
was it?
I knew the script was amazing. I mean, you literally could not put it down. And I knew I was on a big film, but it was really only at the behest of Bill, because he used to, when the film was done, he would call me um, once a week practically to say, "Dude, you've got to come over from the premiere. You must come over." And I was like, "Bill, I don't know." My son was very young at the time, and I was working in the UK anyway. I was like, I'm not sure. And then finally, I just gave in. I said, "Oh, okay, I bought my ticket. I'm coming." And I had no idea what to expect. But on the heels of a hit film, I walked into every single agency in town, had a meeting with all of them. Uh, Finally settled on the Paul Kohner agency, and then within 5 days, I was starring in a film with Lance Henriksen. We were doing this film, Survival Quest. It's by Don Coscarelli, who did the Phantasm films. But it's a great cast. It's got Dermot Mulroney and Catherine Keener and Lance, myself. It's yeah, and I never returned to the UK.
Nice. I mean, Lance, like, he is just one of those actors. Like, he brings, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, there's just so much like gravitas to the guy. Like, he just brings something special to every movie that he's in. And it's interesting because normally he plays a lot of like menacing characters. Like, he's got that real draw about him. But in Aliens, he was not that Bishop was subdued or anything, but obviously he's playing like an android basically, so he's got to be kind of restrained emotionally. But
Yeah,
even then, like, I think he just still gives this great performance. There's a lot of nuance to it. There's a lot of
oh,
subtlety.
yeah, it's a brilliant performance. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, you totally believe that he's not human.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
amazing.
I was just going to say as well that there's always a scene that sticks out for me. There's two really. Like, one, Drake, the character he played, like, he probably has one of the most horrific deaths I think if I've seen in a movie. That he gets like acid splashed on him and his face is like melting off. And it's funny because the scene where you see it, he kind of turns towards the camera and like you just see like the melted side of his face. And I imagine it involved a lot of makeup. Like, I imagine you had to be in the chair for a long time, but it's only shown on screen for like just a little split seconds, but it's
Yeah.
enough for you to see, oh god, that's a really horrific way to go.
Well,
Um,
it's an incredible day. I mean, it was one of the first days of filming, and so my first day of filming as well. I think it was like the second day of the shoot, but I went in like 4:30. In addition to just the melting appliance, which was on my face, they had to run tubes up my leg, up my shirt, that went into the appliance, and they had little chemicals that they were pumping into there that, when activated with water, one would bubble, one would fizz, and the other would smoke.
oh,
Problem being is, it was all toxic. So before they activated it with water, I had to hold my breath while activated, get action, turn into camera, fire off this real live flamethrower that shot flame like 25 yards. Not only to mention that I had to aim it directly at the director and the DP, who were behind the plexiglass shield. And then once I turned, screaming, right, like a death scream,
yeah.
falling in between two flame bars, and then I had to wait until they shouted "cut," holding my breath the whole time. And then two huge dudes, like some of the stunt guys, came in and picked me up. Mind you, I was like 235 pounds at the time, but these two massive dudes come and lifted me up, stuck me in front of a helicopter fan to blow all the toxic shit away, and then I could breathe. So that was like a welcome to action filmmaking, Mark Rolston.
Damn.
Yeah.
Those smart guns must have been fun to shoot, though, eh?
Oh yeah. They made a hell of a lot of noise. Didn't have a whole lot of recoil, but the funny thing was, Jim, he mocked up what was like an M180 anti-aircraft machine gun. So it was a real live gun. But he mocked it up so on the actual nozzle of the gun, he had them drill holes through it so that when the charges went off, it didn't just shoot out the tip, it kind of refracted, and it was such a cool visual, but only Jim would think of that, right?
Yeah.
But also not to mention that, the first day we had the weapon and the vest on, because it was a Steadicam vest, and we got in front of everybody, and Jim said, okay, present the weapons, and we pushed them out, and the whole thing just popped off our chests, because the gun itself weighed 100 pounds or more.
Yeah.
And there it was, Jim and everyone else were just looking at Jim, and there was a pause, and then he went, duct tape, just duct tape, duct tape. So every morning, Jeanette and I had to stand and get duct taped into the Steadicam harness, which we had to wear the entire day. And by the end of the day, I mean, you actually felt depression in your shoulders from the weight of the gun and the fact that Jim didn't want us to take it off in between scenes, because it took a fair amount of time just loading us back up again. So while Paxton and Reiser were gallivanting about the set having a good time, there would be Jeanette and I just sitting together with the guns propped up, and we became very good friends. But there were days when I'm sure Jeanette would have been happier to talk to someone else.
Yeah. I mean, they look great, and like you say, they must have weighed a ton. And you had one, Jeanette had one, and like you both had to lug these things around on set. Like, it's damned impressive.
Yeah, it was a thing. I used to wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and just go, "Oh shit! I thought I still had the thing on."
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah, the other scene that always stuck in my mind was the bit where Vasquez just puts down Hudson, where it's like, "Have you ever been mistaken for a man?" She's like, "No, have you?" And you just come in and Drake goes, "Vasquez, you're just too bad," and she slaps him right in the face. But it's funny because if that scene was done today, he would have gone like, "Ow, you're so mean." But like, Drake just kind of smiles like, "Yeah, they've done this before." It's such a great scene. It's just so natural.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was the thing that really made this movie accessible. Is like you believe the characters, you believe their relationships. In the development of the relationship between Vasquez and I, we talked about it and worked it out. There was never any romantic thing. It was all about we had been in Borstal together, and we had the opportunity to get out if we took on this mission. Bound to be a fatal mission, but anything to get the hell out of prison. So we said we'd do it together, and like she had my back and I had hers, but it wasn't like we were friends, but we weren't like romantically linked. But all that kind of stuff, just having talked about it, informed the way we were together, and it comes across on screen. I've had so many people say it's like, I mean, all the relationships, Bishop's relationship with everybody, everyone had a defined, character, and we sort of dealt with each other in that way. So much so that a couple weeks into shooting, like Paxton came up to me and said, "Hey man, like, do you have a problem with Sigourney?" I said, "No. Like, what's up?" He goes, "Man, she's so afraid of you." I said, "Really?" Like, I said, "Well, maybe I was just like in character, and I was just dealing with her the way Drake would, because Drake wasn't necessarily a person with a lot of words. I always just decided Drake was kind of like a meathead anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a jock, isn't he? He's like he'd be
Yeah,
the
he's just,
quarterback on the football team or something.
yeah, he's a soldier. Just do. Tell me what you want me to do. I'll do it. Right. Otherwise, keep yourself. But yeah, so it was funny. Like I finally, Bill introduced, and I was like, Sigourney, I'm so sorry. Look, I think you're wonderful. And we met, and then the real key was I got to talking about my son, who was that time maybe like a year, and she was looking to start a family, so that was our instant connection. And yeah, she's lovely.
Yeah, there's a great moment, I guess, when all the hypersleep pods open up, and like you're sat next to Sigourney, and you just give her this look like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like it's such a look of like disgust. It's great. I just love that moment with Drake. You know straight away exactly who this guy is and what he's about. It's so well done. Um,
Funny thing, talking about that hypersleep moment, that was a long day on the set, long day, because again, everything is practical. So when the hypersleep pods, the lid is opening, of course, Jim wanted it to be an exact simultaneous synchronicity. Well, those lids were being manipulated by guys off camera with bars and wires to pulleys. So
mm,
they were all pulling like two or three of them at a time, and they weren't quite getting the synchronicity together, and so we shot that forever. And again, Jim didn't want us to get out of the pods because it would take too much to reload us back in and out. So he was just like, stay there in between takes. So in between takes, when they're lighting and they're practicing the move, if we fall asleep, we'd kind of scratch our head, stare off into space. And then at one moment, Sigourney looks over to me and she goes, Drake, I'm not very hairy here, but down here. And I went, what? Oh my God. I went every shade of red. And then she turned and she was laughing. She was like, I totally busted you. I busted you. Oh, and it was just a diversion, to get out of the boredom of that long ass day. But isn't it funny how something like even like my death scene, like you pointed out, it was all of 10 seconds of the movie, but my God, it took hours to do, and a whole load of people are involved in doing that. It's just
yeah,
incredible. I mean, movie making, like a lot of people take for granted that, oh yeah, it must be easy. It must be tons of fun being on movie set. And quite often, it's friggin' boring. It's a lot of waiting around, a whole lot of waiting, and then you have to be ready just to jump right in and be on. Um, yeah,
I've done back when I was at university. I gigged as an extra in movies and TV shows and stuff, and yeah, it's exactly as you describe. You can spend hours just sitting around waiting to get called to set and nothing's happening. And man, this was in the days as well before I had like the internet on my phone and stuff. So like even if you brought a book or something, you were quite well off. But that was all you had. It's
yeah,
so dull.
yeah,
But yeah, it's you know. Um, the end result is fantastic. In the case of movies like Aliens, you can just I don't know. You can almost just feel the work that went into it. You can feel the attention to detail, and it just comes through in every action scene, every set piece, every character moment. Like every part of the film just works perfectly.
yeah. And I think
Uh,
that's testament to Jim as well. I mean, look at what he did on Titanic. He had uh, plates made, like for the ship that had the Titanic emblem, like put onto the bottom of the plate. You didn't even see it, but Jim wanted to be sure if ever it passed through the flame, it was exactly the way it was on the Titanic.
mhm.
It's extraordinary. Jim, his attention to detail is amazing,
Yeah,
um, and really, his vision for what would like the world of the Terminator or you name it. And I'm anxious to see, Avatar. I mean, we kind of know what that world is now, having seen it once, but I bet you Jim's got some surprises for everyone.
I'm hoping so. Yeah, because with the first Avatar, like visually, it's an incredible movie. Like there had never been anything like that before. The story was fairly well worn. You know, it's the sort of thing you'd seen before. But I guess, yeah, I'm curious to know what he's going to do with this because he spent so long working on it. No idea, like, where he's going to go with it.
You know, he's got something up his sleeve. You know, he told me, he said, you know, he's going to make these 4, you know, sequels, and that's it. He's done.
Yeah.
I don't quite believe that, but you never know. I mean, you know, but Jim's spending like a decade making these. He's already shot all the actors out for all 4 films. It's over. They've already.
Oh, really? Really?
Oh, yeah. They've already done the green screen. Now it's just a matter of like fashioning the world and the narrative for each separate film. And yeah, I wouldn't bet against Jim for pulling something off and having some things that are just going to wow us all.
Is he bringing you in? Because I know he likes to reuse actors.
Nope, never use me again.
Oh,
no.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, Jim, like, you know, I've seen him subsequently. He's always very nice, but he was always like, "Oh, yeah, you've done okay for yourself, right?" I said, "Yeah, I've done fine. I'm fine." But I did want to say, why is it you never had me back again? I mean, he told me he liked what I did. I don't know. It's just no idea. I always thought I could have played the Stephen Lang role, but
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've got the you know, you've got that ability to bring that villainous side out, and you know, bring that really menacing kind of that stare. You know, I mean, you did it in the Shawshank Redemption, which was, you know, I guess one of the movies I was looking to talk to you about. Like, Boggs, just what a sinister villain. Like, I think you just played that character so well. And so different from a character like Drake, you know, who's kind of just this man of few words, who's, you know, this big kind of rough and tumble Marine guy. You know, Boggs is just this really like sinister kind of predator of a character.
Yeah.
You know,
and you know that's all testament to Frank Darabont. Funny anecdote though, the first audition I ever went into for Shawshank. Well, I first met with the casting director Deb Aquila, and Deb was saying, "So what role do you like in the script?" I said, "Well, I really like Hadley." She said, "Well, no, they already have an actor for that." I said, "Oh, come on, let me read for it." She was like, "No. I'm advising you, like, go for Boggs." I was like, "All right, okay, fine." So I'm waiting to audition, and down the hallway, there's this dude who keeps passing by the hallway and then staring down at me, and then passing back again and staring down at me, and I'm wondering, this person, what's going on? Finally walk into the room, and Frank Darabont's there, and he's like, "You're Drake. You're Drake." And I was like, yeah. I was like, wow. So he was a crazy Alien fan. And then, you know, really testament to him, like the role is phenomenal. The whole script it's like Aliens. There's a handful in my career, and they only come around every so often where you pick it up and it's like, oh my God, this is well knitted, amazing story. And Shawshank was like that. And after my audition, I didn't hear for 3 months. And I thought, wow, man, this is, I couldn't believe I lost out on this because I really nailed it. And then finally, and sadly, I was getting divorced at the time and not actually feeling great in the world. And one morning, like 9 a.m., I get a call from Darabont saying, "Hey, I just want to be the first to let you know that you got the role of Boggs." And I was completely gobsmacked. I said, I thought it had gone. I thought it had gone to someone else. And he said, "No, I'll tell you what happened." He said, "I'm not going to name names, but they didn't want you in the role." So he meant Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner didn't want you. And so what Frank did was he said, you know, Reiner made me go out and search all over New York for an actor to play Boggs. And he said, "I'm not going to tell you who they are," but he said, "You beat out a lot of really well-known people." And then he told me how he managed to do it. Well, what happened was they had whittled down their selections for the varying characters down to 5. And then they all sat in the studio at Castle Rock, and they had a projectionist who would play your audition tape. And before they were going to roll out the auditions for Boggs, Frank went to the projectionist and said, listen, show the 5 they've got and slip this in at the very last second. And he played me last, and apparently Darabont got up after they played and shouted at Reiner and said, and if you don't think that's the fucking guy to play the role, you're crazy. And Reiner was like, okay. Let the guy have it. I mean, but think about it. Thank God you didn't have Rob Reiner casting this movie.
Yeah.
Listen to this one. He wanted to cast Tom Cruise as Andy Dufresne. For real. And he wanted Gene Hackman as Red. I could understand Gene Hackman. He's such a great actor. It would have fit Red. But, yeah, that's who Rob Reiner wanted. And thank you, Frank Darabont. He was my angel, man. He stood up for me. And then just to say, during the process, both in Aliens and in Shawshank, I think what made the film so great is that we rehearsed. I mean, we properly rehearsed. And for Shawshank, we kind of did what you do in the theater. You tape off the theater space and you get into the thing and you rehearse actual scenes. Well, Tim Robbins and I rehearsed all of our scenes together for Shawshank. And Frank just said, listen, if something comes, just improvise. Don't just stick to the dialogue as is. So I improvised a whole bunch of stuff. So a lot of the lines you see in the film, some of the classic ones, like "I could be a friend to you," that's me. These are my lines. And there's a great book. It's called Shawshank: The Final Shooting Script. You can get it online. Darabont put it together, and it's fascinating because it's the actual final shooting script with all the anecdotes of our shooting, what was cut, what was kept, why. And Frank is very generous. Numerous occasions, I think it was like 8 of them, where he would say, I can't take credit for this line. This is Mark Rolston from rehearsal. So, it's pretty cool, and I'm really, really proud of that.
No, that is awesome, man. I mean, it's like, just like with Aliens, when we talked about the roles of like Hudson or Drake or anyone else, I can't imagine anyone but you having played Boggs. Like, you absolutely made that role your own, and the fact that you improvised so many of those lines, it's just brilliant. Like that character is just he's chilling. There's something about him, man. There's someone actually.
I'm so sorry, Rob.
Yeah,
no, it's amazing too that they have.
No, this is this is just something I brought up. Who donated and said, Mr. Rolston, you're in two of my favorite movies of all time, Aliens and Shawshank Redemption. I can't count the number of times I've watched these movies. Thank you for such great entertainment. Your role in Shawshank still creeps me out till this day.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I wanted to say it was like the day that we actually went in and we were shooting the shower scene.
Mm-hmm.
That was a day that was fraught with a lot of tension because not only was like the entire extra cast like completely butt naked, but I was too, and Tim didn't. Tim was like, no, he had to wear his little shorts or whatever. And when we were doing a scene, Tim was like just getting in the way of filming. Like he didn't want to shoot that scene. He just didn't want to shoot it. So, in shooting parlance, we were doing overs. Like it was over my shoulder onto Tim first. And they shot Tim's side of the scene. And then Tim got pissed off. Like he was pissed off that the water in this prison was cold and it wasn't hot. And it was like, dude, this prison was built in 1867. What do you expect? Anyway, he like threw the soap down and he walked off set. And there was a kerfuffle, and the producer was saying, oh, we can move on now. Let's move on. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. You didn't shoot. This isn't a scene. You didn't shoot my side of the scene. And the producer was saying, oh, no, we got the scene. We got the scene. I said, show it to me. Take me to video. Show me it on video right now. And, I'm Irish. I can get pretty hot, right? I was like, show me the scene. She shows me what it was, and you could see my earlobe. And I was like, that's not a scene. I said, that's not a scene. I said, if you don't get that choice word back on this set, and shoot my side of this scene, I swear to you, I'll sabotage every scene in this fucking movie. I said that to her. I don't know what to do except that I'm crazy Irish. So sure enough, Darabont went off. He got Tim Robbins. He drove his ass back to the set. Did my side of the scene. One take. What you see on film is one take.
Damn.
And then we moved on to another one. Yeah, but Tim, he fucked up a lot of things as far as I'm concerned. But the movie's great. It worked out well, and there were some much more powerful moments that were sort of taken away because Tim had a problem with the implication that this had something to do with homosexuality, which it doesn't. It didn't. It was all about power. It was nothing to do with homosexuality. So he just wasn't very clued in on what a predator psychology really is. But
I think that's how I always took it with a character like Boggs. Like he is a predator in the purest sense of the word, and he's just there to dominate the people around him.
Yeah.
And that's what comes across on screen, I guess.
And I think it still exists to this day. It's like you're locked up in a joint. There's not a whole lot of fuck to do anyway. So
Yeah, what was it they say? Gay for the stay.
Yeah, but you got to amuse yourself somehow, and quite often, I mean, that's one of the recurring themes in the film. Like at the very beginning, when Fatso, was like, "I don't want to be here. I'm not. I didn't do it." It's like you see. Like I've done a lot of prison films, and a couple were actually shot in working prisons, and it's just human beings like meting out their the Neanderthal, kind of like what Putin's doing right now in Ukraine. He's a fucking, excuse me, he's a Neanderthal. He's and that's all he knows how to do to validate himself, to do something horrific like he's doing now. Sorry.
Yeah, like a show of strength kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just the worst.
But yeah, I was going to say as well, like I guess another big franchise that you've been involved in was the Saw movies. Although interestingly, you avoided doing any of the horrific torture stuff. Like you were just kind of like an FBI agent in those films.
That was
and you got off. Yeah, you got off relatively lightly, but man, those films are intense.
They're incredible, and the special effects artists are real artists. I mean, they're phenomenal. I can't remember the dude's name. He's a Frenchman, but a French Canadian, and he was so specific that no matter what he did, body parts looked like body parts, blood looked like blood. In fact, the very first scene I ever witnessed was the opening to Saw 5 when they have that big pendulum that's gonna eviscerate the dude. Now I watched that entire setup. I saw them load the actor. I knew he wasn't going to get really injured, but then they put this body suit over him, attached it to the actor. And then when it came time for this blade was real. It sliced the special effects makeup body right open, and the guts that spilled out. This guy researched it. It was the color of what guts looked like. It was the way they were shaped. And I actually thought I was going to throw up. And then, I walked away, and one of the ADs said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I don't know. It's a little queasy. It's pretty rough out there." She said, "Don't worry. Everybody on this set has either fainted or lost it at one time." But yeah, the traps were incredible. But Saw is interesting because it does have a psychology to it. It's what attracted me when they approached me about doing the role. And Agent Erickson got his comeuppance too when I got stabbed in the neck, and we had some really overzealous special effects guys who were off camera, but they were pumping these little pumpers that with the blood like spewing all over me. I mean, it was like up my nose, down my throat. It was like steady on. It's like I just got punctured with a screwdriver. It's not like he sliced my throat open. Anyway.
It's like he doesn't just get his throat cut; he gets set on fire as well. Like they weren't taking any chances with this guy.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah,
um, but yeah, the it's one of those weird things that I'd forgotten. But you also were in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
yeah,
I'd overlooked that episode, but then when I was looking up, the roles that you'd done, I was like, wait, Star Trek: The Next Generation, what was he in again? And then I thought about that episode. And I thought, oh, I remember you now. I remember you. You were playing this character that, he'd killed his girlfriend at the time, and then thrown himself into like the warp core or whatever. Um, and yeah, like it became like almost a flashback episode.
yeah,
Yeah, what was it like working on The Next Generation? Because yeah, that's one of my favorite shows ever.
yeah. Well, it took long enough. I auditioned for it like 17 times, and then,
Really?
oh God, it was endless. And the last time, I said to my agent, I said, "Look, what's the point?" I said, "I've been in there so many times. They know who I am, what I can do. Really?" Like they said, "Just go." I was like, "Okay." And then, sure enough, I get in, and it was amazing. Just to be part of that franchise, and just seeing the sets. But again, you laugh because the way it's filmed, and it looks so high tech and futuristic, but in actual fact, it was a lot of practical stuff going on. Like the big flat doors that would they
Yeah.
like a air compression sound effect. That was all bullshit. They had dudes behind those doors that were pushing them shut, and they rumbled. They're like when they shut. It wasn't like this soft, soundless wisp of air. It was pretty funny, but no, but it was absolutely amazing. The cast was a lot of fun, and it's just one of those feathers you put in your cap. It's like, yeah, I was in Star Trek. I'm
Yeah.
in the encyclopedia for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I saw you. Yeah, I saw your entry.
Dude, like I was so chuffed when I saw that. I was like, wow, I've really made it.
Yeah. No, they are thorough. Like they've got everything down in that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's. I mean, obviously, in the scenes that you did, I guess you never acted opposite the main stars of the show because like it was a flashback kind of situation for you.
right.
Um, but yeah, it's still an amazing thing to have been part of. Like I say, the Next Generation was just fantastic for
Yeah.
me when I was growing up.
Oh yeah.
I'd been a big fan of like the movies with Captain Kirk and stuff, and when the Next Generation came out, I had no idea what it was going to be or what it was, and it wasn't until I started watching it. It's like, oh, okay, it's an entirely different cast of people. It's a whole different, ship and everything. But it just absolutely grew on me, I suppose, like it did with everyone, and it just
Yeah.
became this incredible, phenomenon that kept going for so many seasons.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, you've I know you've also done um, things like the X Files. You were in Lethal Weapon 2 as well. You got a part in that, which you know the Lethal Weapon movies. They are just they're just one of those pivotal franchises of like the 1980s that just again you look back on them so fondly as like I don't think we're going to get films like that anymore, but they
Yeah.
were so fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean, a great action film, and all about L.A. I mean, lots of amazing sights in Los Angeles, um,
Yeah,
and the great Dick Donner. Fantastic director. I mean, real old school Hollywood.
yeah,
Big man, big personality. Um, and I fondly remember when I had to do my getting shot in the forehead and rolled in plastic. Um, that was an interesting day because they actually had a marksman with these like wax pellets full of blood who he had made a plywood cutout of my exact height to set the air pressure and to shoot it in the exact spot. He showed me like 3 times before we did it. And he said, "Look," and he hit the exact spot 3 times in a row. And then when we actually came to do the shot, he said, "Listen, if you get scared, just fall forward because the trajectory of the pellet will actually drop as it goes this 6 feet. So he's only like 6 feet away. But he lied. He said it was only going to be like a little tap. It was a splat. I mean, come on. This thing, I went home with a couple of welts on my forehead. But yeah, that was a nice thing. And especially after I did the stunt, Dick Donner was like, all right, cut. Yeah, now give that kid some danger money. And they gave me an extra 10 grand just for doing the stunt. And yeah, I went home that night and I was like, hey, baby, we're going to have a great Christmas.
That's awesome. I mean, I've been shot by like paintball guns before, and it hurts, and to get shot right in the forehead, damn.
Oh yeah, oh for real.
But yeah, I mean, I know that as well. Like you've, particularly in recent years, you've done a lot of voiceover work with things like video games. Like
Yeah.
you've been in some big games.
Yeah.
I know you've done like what was it, Halo? Like you did Blade Runner back in the 90s. Like I played that game. I remember playing that and loving it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was such a great, continuation of the movies.
Yeah, it's interesting. About 10 years ago, I had my first opportunity to play in a game and do the motion capture work. So for me, as a classically trained actor, motion capture is a lot like just doing theater in the round. Because you have to be on because there's like 360 cameras filming every different height and angle could possibly be, and trained on you. But I remember when I first did one, buddies of mine would say, "Oh wow, man, everything okay? Or you need to go do video games?" They were really poo-pooing it, and I'm so happy I got into it when I did because, that industry dwarfs the film industry. I mean, it makes the film industry look like a peanut, and it's a sad commentary on what we are doing as a society, and even like the global society, because millions and millions and millions of gamers all over the world. So much so that when they release one of these games, I mean, they make $1 billion in 24 hours because everyone's just clamoring to go to the game. And in defense of the games, the cinematics and the narratives are getting finer and finer, so much so that the cinematics, I read a review where they said the cinematics to the first Spider-Man game were better than the movie. So, I did that, and I can tell you, I'm in the Spider-Man franchise, playing Norman Osborn.
Yes, yeah, I was going to say that.
And we're filming the second installment right now. Can't tell you anything about it, but I'll only say this: all the fans out there of games, and if you love Spider-Man, this game will blow your mind. That's all I can say. But I'm telling you, honestly, it's extraordinary. The script is just extraordinary. Incredible people to work with. Insomniac Games out of Burbank and Sony. Just a great set to work on. And yeah, they've got some tremendous stuff coming. Of course, the game won't come out for another year and a half. We're just filming it now. It's extraordinary to me, from sort of writing through production on a game can take you like 5 years. That better be some good whiskey you're drinking, mate.
It's not.
Oh, wow. You're in the home of whiskey and you're drinking that shit?
Well, the thing is, when I do these live streams, I usually mix it with a bit of Coke so I can stay awake. The sugar keeps me going, and so I'm not going to mix a good malt whiskey with Coke. And so yeah, I break out the cheap stuff for this. But yeah, no, it's an interesting thing, the point that you're making about video games, because when I look back to what I was playing when I was a kid, it's like it was the most cartoonish, simple stuff ever. It was like Super Mario Brothers or whatever. But you look to video games now; they've become movies in their own right. The production values that are associated with them, and like you say, the money that's involved is insane. It dwarfs the movie industry. But I've long believed that video games can be on par with films in terms of the storytelling and the characters and the writing and the performances, and we're getting to that point now, and I think it's a great thing to see, and I hope it doesn't do away with films. I hope the two of them complement each other. You know, you've got movies for a linear story that someone else wants to tell you, but you've got video games for a story that you can make yourself and make your own decisions. But the two are the same idea in that there's great acting, there's great stories to be told there. You know?
Yeah, I hope so, but my own opinion is, I mean, we've all witnessed it. I being inside of it, I'm more aware of it than someone who's outside the industry. But I don't know, man. I know for a fact that in the United States, the actual amount of production has dwindled to almost nothing. And then what studios are going to make is really only the tentpole, DC and Marvel titles. Um, in Europe, there's actual money for great drama. That's kind of dwindled over here, and TV's really taken over. Cable TV, and it's all about our shifting habits as viewers. I mean, my local multiplex, which was fantastic theater, it's gone, shut down in the pandemic, never to come back, not coming back. And I've seen reviews or articles where people like Barry Diller, big executive, who said he reckoned only 10% of theaters are going to survive. And it's mainly because of our changing viewing habits and the accessibility over the internet. So, and even Cameron was talking about this years ago of having, like a simultaneous release on, video theater, on demand, back then CDs. So it's just changed, but I'm a movie guy, so I really miss that. I really miss being able to like do great films, and but they just, for example, Frank Darabont said at a symposium we did pre-pandemic, he said, if Shawshank had been presented or was out on the market today, it would never have been made. It would never be made.
Yeah.
And it's just, a lot of studios, when they hear, oh, it's set in the 1940s, like bam, 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 alarm bells go, because they don't want to do with anything, period. They'll spend all the money in the world for some futuristic thing. But and I don't know, it's sad, but it's kind of what is. And, a lot of people are more attuned to doing this than sitting and being patient with a real film. I reckon you could make a parallel to the fact that like a lot of people these days don't do a lot of reading either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll tell you what I love about the cinema, in that you go into the movie theater and you turn your phone off, you don't have any distractions, and you just watch the damn film, right? There's nothing else there. If you're at home, you're looking at your phone, you're scrolling through Facebook or whatever, like there's deliveries coming in, there's stuff going on, there's just distractions everywhere, and you can't really focus in on the story that you're trying to listen to. And what it becomes is just background noise. And this is, I guess, the problem I have with streaming services that are so massive now. You've got Netflix, you've got Disney Plus, you've got Amazon, whatever. It's all stuff that's almost designed to be on in the background. It's just stuff that's on your screen, and you can kind of listen to it while you're looking at your phone and ordering stuff or doing whatever. And it's not a good storytelling experience. Like you say, even when you talk about reading books, that is something where you invest your time, because you've got the book there. You can't do anything else while you're reading the book. You have to be focusing 100% on that book and that story. But that's not what people want nowadays. They want 50 different things coming at them simultaneously. And that's such a frustrating thing about how the entertainment landscape is now and how much it's changed.
Yeah, I mean, you get people. I mean, I run into young people who have never seen Shawshank. And recently, I was in New Orleans at an event, and this one young woman was like, "Oh no, I've never seen that. I tried, but it's just too slow." Whoa! Said,
what do you even say to a person like that?
I said, "Lady, do me a favor." I said, and she was a film student. I said, "Listen, you call yourself a film student. You better go watch this movie, because a lot of people think it's one of the best movies of all time. So, Like, do yourself a favor. But it's that thing. Like, people have a shortened attention span, and it's because of things like the games. It's like continual, sensory gratification, and you're just going. People don't have the capacity anymore to sit back. It's like, okay, when I studied at the drama center, one of the first things they ever said to us, they said, we're going to prepare you for something that won't exist in your lifetime, the theater. And we all thought, this guy's mad. He's crazy. What does he mean the theater won't exist? But you think about it. People going off, I mean, in Britain, of course, people still go to see classic theater.
Mhm.
Not so much here. I mean, Daniel Craig, God bless him, he's in a production of Macbeth that's on Broadway, but that's rare. That's rare. So I don't know what the remedy is. I really don't. I miss doing classic theater and I miss doing classic film, but yeah.
I tell you what happens, right? And I can only talk from my own experience, but it becomes tiring. It becomes tiring to have things constantly demanding your attention. Your phone's going off because there's emails coming in, there's updates from Twitter or Facebook or whatever. There's a million different streaming TV shows that you should be watching. Eventually you get to the point where you just think it's too much. I can't have my attention divided up amongst all these different things constantly, because it just leaves me feeling exhausted.
Yeah.
I miss when I was able to just block everything else out and say, right, for the next 2 hours, I'm going to watch this movie. It's going
Yeah.
to get my undivided attention. I'm just going to absorb myself in the story. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't. It doesn't matter. Like, the important thing is that I just watch it and give it that. Um, and I feel like that is just getting lost now. But the result is you've got a whole bunch of people who are just dissatisfied because they are not getting that enjoyable experience of just being absorbed in a story.
Yeah.
It's always filtered through five different layers of other distractions. And I don't know if eventually people are going to get to that point where they say, right, enough, stop now. We need to back off from this a little bit. I
Yeah.
hope they do. I really do, because you miss out on so much.
Yeah.
You really
Well,
do.
I would wish that as well, but I wouldn't put a whole lot of hope in it necessarily, primarily because what's happened in this country, less so in Europe, is that the studios are taken over by corporations and they have one bottom line, and that's making money. That's it.
Yeah.
They have no artistic or creative uh, component in their decisions. It's all money making thing. And they wouldn't know a good piece of writing if it smacked them in the floor. They really wouldn't.
Mm.
Uh, so I don't know. I just think because like money really is the root of all evil, and I think we will. And not to be a complete downer, but technology is an amazing thing. It also has this component that's not so great, because you can't stop it. There's no way to turn back the clock on technology. It races ahead of us by millions of times every year. I mean, think about it. It's like, I'm old enough to remember like the Jetsons cartoon. When people would like look at, they talk to somebody on their watch. Well, boom, hey, you have an iWatch. I mean, honestly, there's no way to stop it. And I guess the best way to look at it is it will evolve into something else, right? If you know what I'm saying, maybe we'll have these kind of opportunities that we treasure, and there will be moments like that. Other films that'll be made that are real, just like beautiful captured moments, and they do exist, but they're fewer and fewer as years go on, and that's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked before on my channel about how you've got things like the Marvel movies, like the Avengers, all that stuff. They obviously make crazy amounts of money, billions of dollars, but man, they've gotten to the point where it's just a formula that they recycle again and again, and it exactly matches up with what you were saying there. It's not about really telling a great story. It's not about having any kind of artistic merit. It's just We want to make the maximum amount of money. What's the formula that best causes that to happen? And so that's what they do over and over again. And again, it's just a lot of diminishing returns. You see it so many times, and gradually you get more and more tired of it, but it keeps getting done because people keep paying to see it. And yeah, I don't know where that's going to end. I mean, I hope it does eventually, because it feels like it's run its course now.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's interesting. But then look at what Cameron's doing with Avatar. He's not just
I mean,
making a sequel; he's making, excuse me, 4 of them.
yep.
And
And it's a funny one, because Avatar caught that wave of, like, when everyone was doing 3D in cinemas. That really capitalized on that. The visuals were spectacular. Obviously, it was a long time ago now. I think it was, what, 2008, 2009, about a decade ago. So now to come back and do another one, I have no idea where it's going to go. I have no idea what the reception is going to be, and how much appetite there is for it. But I'll wait and see. I'll give it a chance and see what comes of it.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
curious.
yeah.
I was going to say as well, like, what people do on these streams is they've sent in some questions for us. If you've got a little bit of time, I can maybe just put some of them to you,
Yeah.
because I'm sure most of them will be for you. So, yeah, the Outcast creative, he said, "Hi, Mark and Drinker. We've got a mutual friend in Warren Sire. I saw Aliens at the first public screening, the Odeon Marble Arch. Do you ever watch Alien War: The Dark Ride?"
Don't watch Alien War, but Warren Sayre is a dear friend. He and I met years and years ago on Revolution with Al Pacino. And
Nice.
um, Warren had quite a career. He was in The Shooting Party and a number of other films. He was a very gorgeous young British actor, kind of like a brother to me. So he lived out here in LA for a while. He's back in the UK. He's quite a photographer now. And yeah, great, good friend.
Laughing Carew said, "Awesome seeing you here, Mark. With it being no secret that the set for Aliens was tense between Cameron and the crew, did that in any way affect you and the rest of the cast?"
No. I think they, even though we were aware of something going on, they managed to keep it pretty well contained and private between, like, Jim and Gail and the concerned parties. But I alluded to it earlier, but Sigourney was part of those negotiations, and she absolutely went to Jim and Gail and said, "Listen, you guys are wrong. You have to accommodate these guys the way they work." And she was the catalyst to help me smooth everything out and make sure we can continue shooting.
Nice. Spider Fingers says, "Love you, Mark. Miss you in films, bud."
Well, I was recently, not too long ago, just Midway. I played
Yes.
Admiral Ernest King, who was one of the architects of winning the war back in the 40s. That was great. You may not recognize me because it was quite a transformation. But yeah, I write, and I've got a small movie I'm trying to get up now, which I'm not acting in, but I penned, and I'm really proud of it. And yeah, but we were talking. It's a changed landscape nowadays. See, this is the other thing that's happening in Hollywood. They don't even audition people anymore for films. They certainly not at my strata and career now. They just go down a list. It's like, yeah, just go for whoever says yes gets it, and it's just a really false way of making the cast. Whereas I was doing Departed with Scorsese. I went in 5 times for The Departed. They auditioned the hell out of me with notes in between and retaping, and I really think, like, putting movies together without a real audition process, it's fake, and you're lucky if you get a real homogenous set. Like, how many movies have you seen of late? It's like, wow, yeah, I went to see this film. It was kind of cool, but, like, God, you could really tell that the lead actors like either hated each other or they just didn't gel. There was nothing between them, and that all comes down to the whole process that we used to go through. I mean, we used to get in a room and like duke it out like a boxing match.
It's funny because sometimes it's like I know that there's two good actors there, and they're good individually, but they just don't work together.
Yeah,
And yeah, like exactly like you say, like it kind of feels like they've just been chosen individually, and nobody thought to
yeah.
screen test them together, whatever.
And to tell you what happens nowadays, films often are packaged by a huge agency like CAA or William Morris. They package an entire film and just place their talent in the movies. I mean, case in point, I watched this thing, The Tender Bar. Did you see this? This George Clooney directed thing. It was out.
No.
It was out this season. Um, Ben Affleck stars in it. He was decent, but the rest of the film, it was horrible. It's horrible. And I sat back and I went, "Oh, I know what happened. They just packaged it inside one of an agency, and Clooney's probably with CAA, and he should never really direct again. It was so poorly directed. But yeah, it's just a fallacy. It's like nowadays when we audition for films, we do something called self taping. You tape here at home, you send it in. You never interact with the director. They never experience your energy in a room. And the biggest mistake is the fact that it used to happen. You'd be in a room and the director would say, "Yeah, I like that, but let's try this. Can you make this adjustment?" And then it was up to you as the actor to go, "Okay, digest it, and then spit out the adjustment." And if you managed to hit the adjustment, the job was yours usually, right? But
Yeah.
that's gone now. People just see the one taping and they figure, that's all he can do. Yeah, he didn't hit the notes that I have in my brain. Well, you never told me those notes. You never gave me notes on what I did. So it's completely false. Um, and in that regard, like I'm kind of happy to be out of it. Like I hate self taping only because I like what I do, but it'd be like going up for a job interview and never having met your boss, right?
Yeah. No,
And
I totally get it. Like it feels like you need feedback if you're going to give a performance.
yeah,
And it might be that, like exactly like you say, you don't quite hit the notes that they're looking for, but okay, they can tell you what they want that character to be. Okay, I'll adjust my performance a little bit, and like then you can see what I can do. It's a collaborative process, but if you don't get the opportunity to even do that, and you just have to do this one take, on camera or recording yourself, there's nothing to work with. There's no feedback. There's nothing.
yeah.
So it's entirely, if you didn't interpret it quite what they were looking for,
Yeah.
there's nothing there. There's no
And
chance.
think this, even more so, they used to send you the script so you could read the entire script. Nowadays, you don't even get the script because everything's so top secret. You have to sign NDAs, and then they send you scenes. And it's like, wait, if I can't see the arc of the story, how do I know how to modulate my performance? Like, where does the scene fall in the midst of your story? What
Yeah.
is the tension in the script at the time this scene drops? Like, you can't make any of those decisions. So it's completely false. It's just fake. So, in that regard, I feel really lucky. I lived through an era when I thought they were making great, great films in the United States. And I'm lucky to have been in a couple of them.
Yeah, you absolutely were, and they were, and I just really hope that they get back to doing that again. I don't know what it's going to take to shift it, but I hope they do. Um, Kung Fu Hot Dog here. He asks, Mark, you're a boss as Drake. Can't forget you in Rush Hour as well. What was it like being with Jackie and Chris?
Oh man, such fun. Love Chris Tucker. Like the character you see in Rush Hour is not Chris. Chris is a very controlled, sober, wonderful human being. He's fun to be around, but trust me, he's got a very serious side to him. And Jackie Chan, idol, what a gentleman. I had the pleasure of starting out my professional career when I was still at the Drama Center they put out a notice or an inquiry were there any young American actors to come and audition to revoice Jackie, and I got the part. So I'm on the set with Jackie, and he's amazing. Like when he's on set, because he's a martial artist, he's totally disciplined. When he's filming, you have your mark on the floor. He just stands on his mark, and even between takes, Jackie doesn't move. He just sits there, just quiet. And I went up to chat with him one day. I said, Jackie, can I get you a water or anything? No, I'm fine. I said, so do you want to go sit in your chair? No, I'm fine. I said, why? Why do you just stand here? He goes, oh, don't want to waste any time. Like when the director's ready, I'm here. I'm ready. I was like, wow, that's good. I like that. And then I said, by the way, I started out my career. I revoiced you in Drunken Monkey and Drunken Master. And he looked at me. He was like, what? No way. You, me? I was, yeah, way. I revoiced you into American English. Yeah, it was one of my first professional jobs, and I bought my first car with the money I made. But Jackie, what a gentleman. He threw, most stars might get like a coffee truck to come one day as a gift to the crew. Jackie threw full-on blowout parties. I mean, Christmas party was extraordinary. He rented out the whole of Planet Hollywood in LA. And as I was leaving set one day, he goes, hey, you coming to the party? I was like, absolutely. He goes, bring anybody. Bring wife, bring friends, anybody. I was like, really? He said, yeah, come on, we're party, blah, blah, party. So I didn't abuse it. I brought, my best friend and his wife, my wife. And when we walked in, Jackie saw us walk in, and he broke away from a conversation, came rushing over, shook my hand, and I said, Jackie, this is my wife, Georgina. He took her and he planted a kiss right on her lips. And my wife was flustered. She said, oh, my God, I think I'm in love. But Jackie was like, enjoy. There's stuff on every floor. And sure enough, man, there was anything and everything you wanted. And I'm talking about food. There was this whole bank of seafood. You could just go and say, oh, yeah, give me the lobster and I'll have the snapper. And can you grill that for me or broil it? A bar that had, like Dom Perignon was like the well champagne. I mean, it was just incredible. We had such a ball. We were there till like 5 a.m. We were trying to get Jackie's father, who he's passed now, but he was 85 at the time. You couldn't get the guy off the pool table. Seriously, he kicked everyone's ass. It was amazing. Yeah, we didn't leave till like 5 in the morning, got home, and our kids were like getting up, and they were like, mommy, daddy. It was like, we're tired. We got to go to sleep. But yeah, Jackie Chan, what an amazing dude. So smart, smart businessman, but even more so, he's a human cat. I watched him do things physically that would just blow your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, Rush Hour. Toward the end of the film, there's this scene. He comes running across the iron grids of the LA Convention Center. It's like 250, 300 feet in the air. And he goes running across, and then he leaps onto this huge piece of fabric. You remember the thing. He comes swooping down, and then he gets to the bottom. He just lifts off and drops on his feet. Dig this. Right before he did that stunt, he had one of his guys go up there just to mark it out, right? And his guy is like creeping along, like just creeping. Jackie watched him, and he goes, okay, I can do it. So Jackie didn't creep along. He runs along this thing and just throws himself onto this big, huge red piece of fabric. And when he got propelled off it at the bottom, he just went in the air and then stood, hit his mark. It was a one take. The guy's he's just phenomenal.
I've seen outtakes from a lot of his films, and just the injuries that he sustains. Like, there's so many stunts that can go wrong. And it's all done obviously practically, so there's no safety net, there's no harness that's going to protect you. Like, he injures himself constantly on his films, and man, the dedication, the bravery that he must have to do all that stuff is incredible.
Yeah,
like, you cannot fault it.
Yeah, and during the shoot, it was amazing. Whenever we had lunch, there was always a performance because Jackie and his crew would play that game hacky sack, little hacky sack.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, they did things with a hacky sack that I'd never seen before. I mean, literally, they fling it in the air and then they catch it in the crook of their neck, and then you pop it off their neck to the other guy. The other guy would catch it on his shoulder, roll it across his shoulder, then down his arm and flick it to somebody else. It was extraordinary. They were all, well, Jackie trained at the Chinese National Opera. I think it was the Shanghai or Beijing Opera.
Yeah.
That's where he went when he was a child. His father, I guess they were very poor and couldn't afford to raise him. So they actually had him go off to the opera when he was like 5. And in fact, Renee, she's written a book about Jackie. She and Jackie are close friends.
Really?
Yeah. You talk to her about it. She'd be a great interview about Jackie, or maybe she can get Jackie on the podcast because, and like I said, she's written the book. I haven't read it yet, but Jackie's a phenomenal story. And just to wrap it up, a little further anecdote. So when I was talking to Jackie, we were on the set. I said, "So Jackie, like, why do you like stand here?" He said, "Because he said in America, you guys you waste too much film, too much time." He said, when you guys are doing a scene, you say, "Okay, ready, rolling, sound speed," then you say camera speed, and then you say action. He said, in Hong Kong, we don't do that. In Hong Kong, we go, ready, action. Otherwise, you're wasting too much film.
It's brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
what an incredible guy.
Incredible. Love
him.
Gentleman, real gentleman.
Couple more questions here.
Yeah.
Nicholas said, was Mark ever offered a role in Near Dark with his Aliens co-stars?
No. I auditioned for the Paxton role. But no, never offered a role in that. Yeah. But I did meet Catherine Bigelow for it. But yeah, that would have been fun. Yeah, it's great movie.
Nice. Daniel Monroe says, "Holy shit, Mark. I just want to say thank you for being such a huge part of my childhood. Drinker, you didn't name your main character after Drake, did you? Gonna love this stream. Have a few on me, gents." Yeah, so this is, so I write books when I'm not doing YouTube. And interestingly enough, yeah, the main character is called Drake.
Oh, wow.
And there's another character called Dietrich and another character called Frost, and it was a little bit of a callback to Aliens because I was a big fan. And so there you go. Yeah.
Sweet. So are your books sci-fi books?
No, they are thrillers. So they're kind of like the CIA, the War on Terror, all that sort of thing. They're set in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. So yeah, they're all about that sort of thing. Like the main characters, they go to like Russia, Afghanistan, all those kind of places. So yeah, and the main character his surname is Drake. So there you go, little callback to Aliens.
Nice.
RRTNZ, he said, "Hail to Drinker and Mark. A question for Mark. With so many memorable roles in great films, is there one that you treasure more than the others? Sorry if you covered this already. I'm listening at work."
Yeah, not to worry. It's so hard to say. Obviously, Shawshank, is a great drama, and I'm really, really proud of how like you alluded to, how I made it my own. And Aliens, just for the camaraderie, and it was what got me to Hollywood. I always knew I'd have to be on the heels of a big hit movie if I ever was going to come over here. But I'm a character actor. I'm not Tom Cruise. I'm not Brad Pitt. I was trained to do something called transformation, and the challenge has always been: can I transform into a character and have you believe it to the point where it's real? And that's always the challenge that I give myself, and I think I've been reasonably successful doing that. And but it really attested to my training at the Drama Center. It really gave me the foundation to be able to access that in myself, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have had a lengthy career and support a family and doing something that I love. That's the most important thing, is doing something you love. And my dear father passed last year, and we had talked just to say, hey, Pop, you must miss. Like he was a huge programmer at IBM. He did some amazing projects. And I said, you must miss work. And he was like, are you fucking kidding me? He said, I hated every single day of it. And I thought, wow, because he worked for them for like 42 years. I was like, are you kidding? You hated it? Yeah. And for me, I'm never going to retire. I mean, why? Provided I'm walking and talking, I want to act. Like that's what I do. Whether it's on the voiceover side, voiceovers kept me in dubbing, which was my first, professional technique. That I learned how to dub films with Louis Ellman, who's one of the greatest dubbers in the whole planet. Probably dubbed bits and pieces of some of your favorite movies ever. But through the pandemic, I was busy. I had to build myself a little booth here so I can record here at home. But I was recording endless films for Netflix into American English, like, Turkish productions that we would put into American English. And yeah, I don't think I'll ever retire. I still feel like, the people that trained me, one particular gentleman actually told me when I was 18, he said, dear heart, you're a fine actor, but you probably won't do your best work until you're about 60. And as an 18-year-old, I thought, what did you say? Oh my God. He said, no, you're going to work. You're going to be fine. He said, but I mean your best work. I thought, okay, so, I'm kind of in that groove now. I'm 65, I'm in good shape. I'm in good health. And yeah, so as an actor, we always hold out for that thing, that role. As a young man, like if I had any regret, it'd be that I didn't play Hamlet. But going forward, I know there's that film role or something where I'm going to be challenged and I'm going to conquer it, and don't know what it's going to be, but I'm sure it'll show up.
No, I mean, like you say, I guess it's such a great thing that you enjoy what you do. It's not like you're sitting in some boring office like every day, just like running out the clock. Like you're doing things that you enjoy, that challenge you, that give you a chance to express yourself, and that's just a great thing. And I think if that's your job, then I can see why you would never want to retire, because it's not a job. You're not bored with it. It's fun.
Yeah, and things shift with the time. Obviously, I'm older now, so although I'm rather fit, I wouldn't be Drake. Again,
I think you can still do it. You can still do it. You shave your beard off.
That'd be a different.
You'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, I grew this thing because I kept getting offers to play white supremacists. Seriously, and I've been turning them all down because the writing was shite. But if sometime they actually, wrote a white supremacist who was real, I might do it. Anyway, I grew this thing, and it's actually worked out. I just did a little movie just a couple weeks ago, and it worked well for that. And I'm starting up a top secret Disney project in the coming weeks, and I think I'm going to keep this for that. Just a different look, I call it utility facial hair.
Yeah, for me, it hides a multitude of sins. It's going a bit grey around the sides, but that's all right. I can do it.
You look good, man.
Here's another one from CD, who says, hi, Mark. In The Departed, did you think that your character was actually an undercover cop? That was something I was always curious about.
Yeah. Well, that is the sort of crux of my character. And it was rather hilarious throughout the shoot, because I was back and forth from LA to Boston and LA, New York. At least 5 times during the shoot, Scorsese would pass by me and he'd be, Mark, so cop, not a cop. Cop, not a cop. And I go, not a cop, Marty, not a cop. Because in the world of Departed, Costello, Nicholson's character was supposed to be loosely based on Whitey Bulger, the famous gangster from Boston. And in those neighborhoods, like if you ratted someone out, like you would spend your life with a mark on your back, and people were they take it out of you eventually, whether it was killing you or just beating the crap out of you. So nobody in the neighborhood, like it was a matter of honor that you never ratted anybody out. So that was my bent. But interesting, you see, real filmmaking. Mr. Scorsese took a whole year to edit that film, a year, and he manipulated that question. Was it CD?
Yes.
Yeah, the CD. The answer to your question is he manipulated that moment because he finally. You remember in the film when he puts up a television segment with a picture of me, and they say, yeah, this cop did blah 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 blah, but it was the way he manufactured it. It was just the fact that it was a deflection for the cops to actually get Costello.
Right.
If you follow me.
Yeah.
So so cop, not a cop. In my world, not a cop.
Okay. No, that's fair play. I get you. I get you.
One of the best times we ever had on The Departed, which is my friend David O'Hara, a good Scottishman, or Scotsman rather. So we're doing the scene outside the restaurant about like he's a cop, she's a cop, right? And it had gone really, really well. And Scorsese comes out and he goes, okay, guys, look. Next time, just say whatever the fuck you want to do. Say whatever the fuck you want. And because he loves people cussing, he loves cussing. So David and I get to rolling, and oh my god, you've got a real Scotsman like going off, and I'm following him, and it got so blue, so much so that Scorsese came running out of the video village, and he was laughing. He was almost in tears. He was like, "All right, stop it! You're killing me! Stop!" There's a really funny thing on YouTube if you want to check it out. It's just type in like cussing on The Departed, right?
Yeah.
And these little sites will come up. There's one in particular. It runs for about 20 minutes, and it's just the snippets of actors going shit, fuck, cocksucker, motherfucker, and it's what really late one night if you've had a couple of nice drinks and you're ready for a good laugh, plug that in. I swear to you, you will probably wet your pants. It's seriously,
brilliant.
check it out.
No, that sounds awesome, man. I'm gonna have to give that a watch after this.
Oh, it's funny, man. It's so fun.
I was gonna say, could you just bear with me for a minute, 1 minute or so? I just need to go to the bathroom, and I'll be right back. What I'll do is I'll put you backstage just for a second, and I'll put myself on mute.
Okay,
And
or
I'll
if you
be.
want, I mean, do you want me to private chat with people while you're?
Well, I mean, it's if you can see the stream, if you can see what people are saying, and you
I
can.
can't really. I mean, I see a private chat little column here, but
Oh yeah.
don't worry.
Yeah.
No, hey.
So no, what I'll do, I'll take you out so like people can't see you, and then I will come right back in a second.
All right,
So
sweet.
okay, cool.
Cool.
Shortly. All right, here we go. Uh, All right, there we go. All right, that is the sad consequence of drinking too much whiskey. It eventually makes its way through, and you got to deal with it. Sorry to keep you waiting there.
No.
Yeah. What was the next question that we had for you was, yeah, here we go. Anthony Stable said Drake and Vasquez, the sexiest movie power couple ever.
Yeah,
That is a great scene when the two of you got your smart guns out there. That is pretty cool.
I mean, it was badass. And truthfully, we are a good team. We were a good team, like a little dynamic duo there. And uh, oddly enough, after the film was out, we had a meeting with just some Fox executives, and we pitched them. We said we have a great idea for the next sequel, and they said, "What's that?" Well, this is it. Bishop clones back Drake and Vasquez, and they go get the Queen Alien, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the exec looked at us and they're like, "Nah, it's not gonna happen." So, but yeah, we, a lot of people tell me I died too quick in the film, and you're right. But Cameron had the right cast, and he knew how to create the tension. And really, my death was kind of the thing that spurred Vasquez on, if you think about it. But yeah, Jeanette, she was badass, man, truly badass. We were always faking it. We'd be in there doing little underarm pull-ups. She was doing the behind the neck thing. It's the most hardest pull-up to do, and she was ripping off like it was nothing. Yeah.
Oh man, like that scene where she's bantering with Hudson. Yeah, like she got in shape for the role, and got to respect her for it, man. Like she was impressive on screen.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, it was always one of those what if things for me. Like, what if Drake had made it to the end of the movie? Like he felt like he would have been a real asset to the team because obviously he's the smart gun operator. Like a really good warrior. He would have been a real, like, I guess, plus for the rest of them when they're fighting the aliens in the command center. But yeah, I think he made a great impact in the time that he was on screen.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah.
The next one was Night King 01, who says, "I can't wait to see where Norman Osborn goes in the next Spider-Man games. You're awesome as the character."
Oh, cool, man. Thanks. Yeah, it's there'll be a lot of surprises, but all I can reveal is like I'm really happy that I'm part of this franchise, and provided that I'm walking and talking at the age of 75, I'll be in the money and I'll be playing Norman Osborn. So yeah, it's just such a great tale, and it's doing really well. I mean, people love them some Spidey, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
the last movie just rocked it, and like I said before, it's like the game got some great reviews about the cinematics, and they spend a whole ton of money on these games, and I'm not a gamer myself, but I love watching the cinematics because they're absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm very, very excited, and you guys have a lot of exciting stuff in store for you, all you gamers.
Nice. Rottweiler, who says, "Aliens was part of my childhood. Mark and all the other actors were perfect for their roles." Question for Mark: were the smart weapons props heavy? They really look like they have a lot of weight behind them. Keep it up.
Yeah, they were absolutely real. I mean, it was a real live machine gun. The Cameron had the props guys weld some motorcycle parts onto, like, the handles that we had were actually like the handle throttles for motorcycles. Complete mock-up, and something that came out of Jim's vision and imagination. But they were amazingly heavy. Yeah, I mean, to de-rig from that was a real pain. And I had actually worked out like 3 months prior to filming, because one of the things I had to agree to when they cast me was that I was going to put on a bunch of bulk and weight. And I didn't use like HG, like hormones, but they had me drinking this amino acid drink that would like accelerate my metabolism. So I just wanted to eat a lot. Dude, I used to pound a ton of food, but I was also working out like 6-7 hours a day. So I started off at like 185, but by the time I finished, I put on almost 40 pounds. I was 235 when I finished.
Damn.
And I was big. But you know what? When I went to Hollywood, I didn't want to be the beefy action guy. Just having been classically trained, I really wanted to be that chameleon guy. So so I let it all go, and not all of it, because I never got below 205 because I continued to box and to work out, and then I found yoga, and my wife is a yoga teacher, and she introduced me to that, and that's probably why I've managed to stay fit into my 60s.
I take it you were tall with it as well. Like, I don't know what height you are, but
6 feet. That's all
6
I am.
feet.
That's it. But then let me tell you why everyone thinks this. It's so funny, when I first went to Hollywood, people would say, they'd recognize my face and they go, "Whoa, man, I thought like you were like 6'5". The reason is because every time when you watch the movie, and you'll see Cameron was always shooting me up at me, right? He was never shooting like dead on. He was always shooting a little bit up at me, so it made me appear even bigger.
Right. Okay.
Camera trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting when you mention it, because the thing that always struck me about the Marines and Aliens is like everyone's in great shape, like everyone's athletic and like really fit, but nobody's like super muscular. Like, they're not like crazy bulky or anything like that, like Stallone or Schwarzenegger, like back in the 80s. But it made it more realistic, because that kind of crazy size you wouldn't get, because that's the sort of size you get from just working out for aesthetics or for competition or whatever.
Yeah.
These guys looked like they were serious for what they did, which was fighting.
Yeah.
And it was the same with you. It was the same with Michael Bain and stuff. Like, you guys were always in great shape, but like you were kind of lean and mean with it. And I think that's what worked really well.
Absolutely. They actually built us a gym. So whenever we weren't filming, like, we were in the gym, just staying fit and just looking great on film. And I've always been fit my whole life, but kind of segued into just like the yoga, because it keeps you're only as young as your spine is limber, they say.
Yeah.
To be honest, like at this stage of my life, like I'm not exactly keen to do a bunch of action stuff or the things I've done. I mean, I've done like incredible fight scenes, and I've died really well in movies, but it does take its toll on your body. It's
Well, the one that I always think of is Brendan Fraser, who did the Mummy movies. He did a whole bunch of action flicks back in the 2000s. Did a lot of his own stunts, and ended up having to have loads of surgeries on his spine and his joints and stuff, because he took so much punishment. And it ended up, it didn't cripple him, but he was very restricted in what he can do. And like, you don't want to end up like that, I guess, from the work that you do.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, I did a little film years and years ago called A Sinful Life, or The Immaculate Conception of Baby Buck. That's the title of the film. I played a transvestite.
Right.
And I nearly killed myself because I had to wear a pair of size 12 heels. And I swear to you, I ruined the ball of my right foot because I had to jam myself into these heels and walk around. So aside from all the stunts I've done, I nearly killed myself being a woman, because I swear to God, I had pantyhose. God, they're awful. And I had like fake nails on it. They would pop off. And it was like, by the end of this film, I was like, God, being a woman is horrible. You got this.
I don't know how women do it. I don't know how they do high heels.
It's it's not like a dude, like just, hanging out in your BVDs and, having a
Yeah, it's great being a guy. Like, you can just bum around in board shorts and a t-shirt all day. It's great.
find a tree somewhere, you're cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
oh god, yeah, I almost crippled myself being a woman.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a funny movie for any fans out there who would like to see me in something and laugh. You will laugh your asses off. Um, it's a cute little movie. The funny thing is, it's like when I went in for my audition, it was during the 1987, so it's right after Aliens, pretty much. And there was a writer's strike, so there were no productions going on. And my agent called him and says, "Look, there's this little movie. Like, I don't know if you want to go out for it. It's a little weird. It's a transvestite character." And I thought, I don't know, let me see it. It was cute enough. I thought, okay, I'll go out for this. Well, I rarely do things like half-assed. So I went to a guy who was cutting my hair, and I said, do you know anybody that has like, female like dresses that would fit men? And like, she goes, "Oh, honey, absolutely. I got just the thing. My boyfriend and I, we have this whole array of costumes. We dress up our friends at Halloween." I said, "You're kidding me." So she goes, "Yeah, come over to the house." I come over. She has this red sequin dress. Oh my god. Fit me. She had a wig for me. She put the nails on me. She made me up. I had to shave all of my arms and body hair. I'm rather hirsute.
Yeah.
And I actually went from her salon, or his salon, all the way down Sunset Boulevard, go to this office building, get into an elevator, and as the doors are about to shut, this dude bursts through. And he's like, hey, sorry about that. I got a meeting upstairs. And then he turns and goes like, "Wow, you're kind of cute." He said, we have a modeling agency upstairs. Like, what are you doing here? And I had this very sultry voice and said, "Oh, thank you. No, I'm meeting on a movie." He goes, "A movie? Really? Wow, cool. Well, hey, here's my card. Come and see us after. We got a modeling agency. You'd be great." I'm thinking to myself, A, this is crazy, but I also thought, wow, I must have pulled it off. Because
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to give this a go.
yeah, but what we had done is we'd actually taken rice and we sewed it into the bosom part of the dress so that
Yeah.
I had a little bit of shake and give. And dude, I completely nailed it, got the role. And any of my fans there, go watch this. You'll laugh your asses off because you'll go, "Oh my god, this is what Drake did after Drake was gone." It's hilarious.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny to think of the guy who did Drake, like the one of the most ultra macho roles ever, like moving over to that. It's brilliant.
Yeah, the character's name was Harlan Jewell, and he was the champion whack man in a sperm bank in Northridge when the 71 earthquake hit and the building collapsed, and Harlan Jewell took the opportunity to escape and transform himself into Teresa Tremaine, his alter ego. It's pretty cool, man.
Nice.
Sports
Here's a question for you from Rico San, who says, "Mr. Rolston, do you have any desire to return to theatre? Is London calling anymore?"
London's not calling. It only calls to me because I have grandkids there, and I love going back, and I would love to do theater. Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. It's what I grew up doing, and the right role in the right production. Sure, I'd love to, but hasn't happened for a while.
Okay. W.J. Valente, sorry, said, "I hope no actors were harmed during the knife scene with Hudson, Drake, and Bishop."
Paxton got nicked.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I know they sped it up a little bit, so that you could get that really crazy.
Well, they sped it up a little, but you see, Lance had been practicing the thing between the fingertips throughout the shoot, and he got really good at it. I mean, he even practiced on me one day, and he really got into popping it through the fingers. But when we actually shot it, Lance knew that Jim was going to speed up the film, but imagine if he got it even faster, it would appear like a blur. So Lance was really going for it, and he did nick Bill. Yeah, and Bill cried.
um, yeah, so Rico San 13 said, Mr. Rolston, what were Michael Bain and James Cameron like to work with?
Fantastic. I mean, like I said, I think Michael's performance is amazing. The fact that he walked in after we'd already been shooting for a week, and he just melded right into the whole crew and the cast, and he was a different Hicks to what James Remar would have done. James Remar was a intense dude,
Hmm.
and a lovely guy. Jimmy regrets what had happened, forced him out of the film. But and Jim Cameron, I know that all those stories, he's megalomaniacal. No, he's just a genius who knows what he wants, and because he knows all the jobs on a film set, you can't be a slacker in front of him. There's just no way because he sees it when you're slacking. So um, no, it was a real pleasure just to watch James Cameron work. Um, he is truly a legend in the industry. And one thing I like to say, he does have a reputation. He can be very hard dude to deal with. But at Bill Paxton's memorial, Jim said the most prophetic thing I'd ever heard. He got up at the podium, and there were thousands of people there. He said, "Listen, I know I'm not known around town as a very warm and fuzzy guy." He said, "But the biggest regret of my life is that when I spoke to Bill the night before he went in for his surgery, that I didn't tell him that I loved him." And all of us in the whole place were just tearing up. I mean, they were very, very close. And Jim, he's a very deep human being, and God bless Bill Paxton. Easily the most sweetest and generous person I'd ever met in the film industry. You know, uh, everyone thinks Tom Hanks is the most loved guy, and I beg to differ. I think it was probably Bill Paxton. Ask anybody around this town what they thought of him, and Bill was well loved, truly well loved.
He just he always just came across as a really like fun, chilled, laid back guy.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a documentary about aliens, and they were talking about shooting the pulse rifle things. And Sigourney Weaver was talking about it a little bit, and you could tell she was kind of uncomfortable because she's saying she didn't like guns that much, and like it kind of she was uncomfortable using them, and um, she didn't quite know how to play it. And then it just cuts to Bill Paxton, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm from Texas. I love shooting guns." Just like chilled out as fuck, just like really laid back guy. Just it came across so well. He just seemed like he was having a blast with that film.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Great guy.
just really, really awesome.
Yeah.
What was this other one here? So, Boar Legion, he said, Mark, I loved your portrayal of Drake. I wish NECA made your figure stand next to Vasquez. I'm not quite sure what that is, actually.
Well, what
NECA.
is he's talking about NECA toys?
Okay.
I have no idea why they haven't produced a Drake doll because so many of you I know would get one. And truth is they called me a while back and tried to make a deal, but they offered me a paltry sum of money, and I know Jeanette got a nice deal, so I said, well, I want what Jeanette got, and they didn't think it was going to be a seller, but you guys can go online, just hit up NECA, say, why haven't you done a Drake doll? I mean, listen, they did a doll of Frost, so I have no idea why. I have no idea.
Yeah. Here's the one from Douglas A. Burton who says, Mark, you should be cast as the long lost brother of Johnny Lawrence in Cobra Kai season 5. I don't know if you watch Cobra Kai at all. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. No, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah.
Grandmaster Morgan says, wow, Mark Rolston, what a legend. Absolutely. Ben says, love Mark's work. What is your take on how the industry has changed over the past 30 years? for example, the studios, streaming services, video games being bigger than most movies. Is it easy adapting to it? I think you've kind of talked about it a little bit
Yeah, I should
already.
talk about that. We have to go with the flow. But regarding streaming, I mean, we're on a streaming platform right now, and the truth is it's the wave of the future. You're not going to stop it. I had the pleasure. I was on this Amazon show called Bosch. It's a LA-based cop show. It's
Mm.
really fantastic. The writing is amazing. And we got a spinoff, and we're on IMDb streaming. Um, Still do the work the same way. It's just it's distributed in a different fashion, and there's no looking back. I'm sorry. It's like it's like people have sentiments like make America great again, right? We can't go back. There's no doing it again. We're moving forward, and you just kind of, in my business, you have to go with the flow. Like, I'm not the guy pulling the strings. I'm not the guy ponying up the money. But like I alluded to, viewing patterns and behaviors have changed, and they're really just catering to what we do. And the whole idea that people are doing a lot of this. There's a fantastic documentary about IBM. My father worked for. And at the very end of the documentary, it's an Errol Morris documentary, by the way. It's fantastic. But a man who had been one of my father's bosses, he's asked the last question of the documentary, and the guy says to him, so if you had to say anything about computers and the computer industry, what would you say? And the gentleman said, the world just got smaller. And think about it.
Yeah.
We all got this. We do this, right? We all got the phone. Think how small this is. This computer in this phone is stronger than the computer that put the men on the moon.
Yeah. Well, look at what we're doing right now. Like, you're in California. I'm here in Scotland. We're talking to each other. Like, thousands of people from all over the world are watching us.
Yeah.
This is the world that we live in now. It's you can connect with anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah. Absolutely true. Yeah.
Yep.
So forward.
Yeah. Next one was so Astro Nerd Boy, who says, Mark, I loved your work in Aliens, Shawshank Redemption, The Next Generation, Babylon 5, etc. How was it working with June Lockhart, Lost in Space, in Babylon 5?
Well, quite an honor. I got to play yet again another rather evil character, and also working next to her. I mean, because I watched her as a kid growing up. But lovely lady, interesting show. I know there's talk about them rebooting Babylon 5, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that was another Star Trek spin-off type show that dealt with another part of the universe. But very cool, very well conceived. A lot of really unusual costumery and makeup, and yeah, it was very cool.
Daniel V said, big fan of Mark's work, was curious as to his time on Supernatural, his experiences and how he crafted his character Alistair, because he did a bloody incredible job portraying him.
Yeah, man, thanks. Like that, in truth, was my favorite character that I ever played. Reason being, I was playing Alistair, the demon of all demons. But they dressed me like I was just a bad insurance salesman, right? And that sort of juxtaposition of like my ordinary looks and the fact that I'm absolutely evil. When I came to shoot it, and I originated the character, the uppity ups weren't on set that day. They had one of the lower level executives who was running the set. And I had auditioned for Josh Whedon, and he liked what I did. So I just kind of went off on my character. And the producer on set was loving it, and he kind of let me go, because I improvised some things and created a deliciously wicked character. So much so that the evening when it premiered, we were watching it here at my house, and my girls were then in like junior high or high school. But my youngest kept inching down the couch toward the very end, and she was kind of like holding herself at the end of the couch. And I said, "What are you up to?" I said, "Get over here." She's like, "No, Dad, you're, you're creeping me out. You're so weird, and what's with that voice? Like you're creeping me out." And I thought, "Oh man, okay, if my own daughter is creeped out, I've done a truly effective performance." And actually, I encourage all of you to watch it, because if you want a little like Mark Rolston fandom geek out, watch Supernatural. It was the most fun I ever had on a set, because the director, the producer, like didn't rein me in. Usually directors will be like, "Oh no, like bring it back, like don't like Cameron used to do to Paxton, like don't say that." Like, but they kind of let me go and did my thing. It may have worked to my detriment, because I never understood why they replaced me. It could have been like a bit of ageism, because they wanted, the show is like geared toward women, and they want a bunch of young, good-looking guys. I get that, but the actor who replaced me, I saw him at an event. He said, "Look, man, I'm so sorry. I hope you don't mind. Like, they actually encouraged me to steal some of your stuff, like the character things that I brought to the character." But actually, that was probably the best time I ever had on a film set.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was going to ask as well, and this is, I guess, a really basic question, but how does it feel seeing yourself on screen? Like watching your performance back, because like even for me, like if I'm watching an upload of a live stream that I've done, so that I can put it back on the internet or whatever, um, it just feels weird seeing myself on screen. And like how does that feel for you? Can you divorce yourself from the part that you're playing, or I don't know, do you feel awkward looking at it or whatever?
No, I never feel awkward. I'm not one of those actors like, "Oh, I never watch myself." No, I
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
myself. I mean, I have a very critical eye. But remember, like for me as an actor, like my number one motivation when I'm approaching a role is being believable, being real.
Mm.
So if I buy it, if what comes out of my mouth and what I'm doing on screen, if I buy it, I'm happy. You know, I'll admit I did this show many, many years ago called Lois and Clark about, Dean Cain was starring as Superman, and I can't remember the girl's name, but oh my God, that was bad. Oh God, one of the worst things I'd ever done in my life. And I was playing a Russian, and oh God, the accent was, everything was awful. It was awful. But I don't often miss. I'm well trained enough that I rarely miss. But yeah, it's always the believability quotient.
Nice. Um, what was the next one? The Bio Geeks said, "Thank you, Mark, for being in a movie that made my childhood absolutely awesome. Aliens is one of the reasons that I have my podcast today."
Sweet. Yeah. You and multi generations. It's been very fascinating.
Yep.
Jim Cameron commented on the fact that there's like 4 generations now. Like I met kids just recently that were like 6 and 7 years old who watched Aliens. I sort of cautioned their parents, like, "Are you sure they're ready for this?" But these, they come dressed like Drake and Vasquez, and they're like, and because it's such a believable world that Cameron created, people of all generations, the new generations are discovering aliens. It's that good. It's really
I,
that good.
I genuinely would have loved it if Cameron had done Alien 3 and
Yeah,
carried on beyond that. Like, yeah,
he had no interest. He refused.
yeah.
They tried to get him to do it, and he was like, "No way." No, he wanted his work to stand singularly, right, with that one offering. And one could argue that out of the whole pantheon series of aliens films, his is the best.
I would argue that, yeah. Um, I think when you compare it to the first Alien, God, it's a tough one to compare because one's a horror movie, one's an action movie. They're both incredible at what they do. It's like they're kind of going in slightly different directions.
Yeah,
I know I would rather rewatch Aliens than Alien, if you know what I mean. Like
yeah, yeah,
one's more entertaining than the other.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's an interesting one with Cameron because again, what if he'd done Terminator 3, rather than, pawning it off to someone else? Like, would it have been a better movie? Would he have sustained the franchise? I just don't know.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's like I guess he has a good sense of like when the story is told and when it's time to move on,
I think that's accurate.
and I think that's probably something we could definitely learn today is that we keep franchises going for too long, and we keep trying to milk more money out of them. Yeah, what have we got now? Like the sixth Jurassic Park movie coming out. We don't need that. The first one was amazing. The second one, and beyond that, it's just been downhill.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Aliens as a sequel, it's one of the only sequels that actually was, greater had greater success than the original film. But yeah, I don't know. But it's like I said, dude. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about dollars. It's
Yeah,
all about the real problem with that is the fact is that you don't create art with dollars. You just don't.
yeah,
And they don't want to sling money at like when I came to Hollywood, we made like 450 to 500 movies a year of all varying sizes. Little 1 million, 10 million, 20 million. Now there's this massive void. They only make the $200 million films, and then they let people scrounge around to try and make a $1 million movie.
yeah.
There's rarely in between. In Europe, there is. In Europe, there's financing for a $5 million movie. I know because my son's a successful movie producer in Britain. He did a movie called A Street Cat Named Bob, which he
Oh shit, that's based on a book.
it is indeed. It's a true
The
story.
the the guy who wrote that is at the same agency that I'm at.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. James Bowen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and Bowen, an amazing story. My son had a bout with cancer. During his treatments, he would just read a whole lot. He'd done when he was in his treatments, he did his own little film called Meet Me at the South Bank. Really great job. He wrote it, produced it, and directed it. But then when he was going through treatments, he read Street Cat and thought, wow, this is such a lovely story. And he went online. Nobody owned the rights to it. So he contacted them to, you know, see if he could buy the rights. And they said, well, they heard about his movie, asked to see it, thought he could be the guy to do it because it's such a London story. And they said, but respectfully, we're going off to Hollywood to see if a studio bites. My son, being the brilliant businessman he is, with like 3 days to go before the 30-day hiatus was while they were trying to get a studio attached, he upped his offer on the rights. They bit. And a week later, Universal Studios was calling my son at his flat in Brook Green, inquiring as to what his intentions were with the rights. And my son said, well, my company and I, we're going to make a movie. And they're like, oh, well, maybe you'd like to do a collaboration with us. And he was like, no, we're all right. We're going to do it ourselves. And, my son won the producer of the year with what he did with Street Cat. And then they had a sequel. And my son has got a tremendous title right now. I think he's going to start shooting in June. My son's committed to doing finding little British literary gems and developing them into film. So it's his little niche, and I'm so proud of him. And this next movie, I think, could be huge. And it's a very small film, kind of like a Stand By Me. It has a bunch of kids in it, but the story is touching and real and topical and current. So I'm very, very excited for him.
That is awesome, man. Like,
Yeah.
you must be so proud just to see him following in like your footsteps into the industry, like doing his own thing. And
Well, he's smarter than I am. He's on the right side of the camera. I'm on the wrong side. He's on the side that'll actually make him some money.
Yeah, but you know what? 50 years from now, 100 years from now, people are still going to be talking about aliens, and they're going to be saying Drake was an absolute badass, and that's you. You did that. So,
Yeah,
like, you've got that forever.
that's
So
for
you've done all right. You've done all right, man.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah. Now, listen, I don't want to keep you for too long. So I'm aware that we've obviously been doing this for a couple hours.
2.5
Um,
hours.
yeah. So I like if
Time
you
flies when you're talking about yourself.
what if you need to bounce or anything, just let me know because
Yeah,
I don't want to.
I think we may have to wrap it up shortly, only because
Yeah.
I'm in the midst of a whole bunch of stuff. So, um, I, if there's any other questions people have, I'll answer them. But I think what we got is pretty good. Yeah.
It's been awesome, man. Like honestly, it's been an absolute honor speaking to you tonight. It's been great. I've loved hearing your stories about like making of aliens and Shawshank and all the other stuff that you've done. And I just want to say, you know, now that I've got the chance, like it's been great to have you on the stream tonight. Um, hopefully Mark's had an opportunity to answer people's questions on super chats and everything. I know that you Renee was able to set this up for us tonight, and Rick as well. I guess what I would just ask you is, what have you got coming up that you'd like to make people aware of?
Well, it's a whole mountain of things. Check out the new IMDb streaming cop series. It's called Bosch Legacy. Young actress who is now the lead of the series. She's phenomenal, only 22 years old. Madison Lentz is a tremendous actress. I also have got the next installment of the Spider-Man game. I also have a top secret and truly top secret Disney project.
You can tell us. It's okay.
I no, I know they're very serious. We had to sign like this ridiculously serious NDA. Like they will come after us. So yeah, but it's something everyone is going to enjoy. Um, um, yeah, what else? Those are the biggest things. But business seems to be picking up again, a little bit, getting back to normal, which is great. And yeah, I hope I get this little short film of mine produced, um, because I'm really proud of the writing on that. I'm really proud of that. So yeah, I'm just chugging along. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna you'll be seeing me into the future, and I really appreciate the time spent here. And truthfully, thanks to you for having me, and then also all the fans out there. If not for you guys, like I wouldn't have a life. So thank you for following me, and love to you all, and really everybody. We'll get through this, and we'll remember this time in the rearview mirror and say, "Wow, can you believe we actually lived through this kind of like hiatus on life?" It's kind of weird that way, right? Like
It is like we're starting to move past it now, but like, yeah, it's a weird situation.
it was so strange, but I actually, I made it my own. I worked on my home the entire time. Like
Yeah, a lot of people did.
yeah, I did some insane shit. Like I did some Drake kind of shit, man. I dug out my own sewer line
Nice.
and
Damn.
and replaced it. Yeah, I'd had this nagging clog in this one little section of the drain, but I could never get to it because I had to rip out a bunch of concrete. It was a major job. So when the pandemic hit, I was like, now's the time. Like I'm not going to be doing anything for a while. So sure enough, man, got a jackhammer, and I had a company come and give me a quote. This is what happened. They wanted $20,000 just to dig out this line, and it's like I said to the dude, I was like, what's the rocket science here? You're gonna dig a straight trench. I know it's a little deep at the end, but like you're digging dirt. What's the big deal? And then you're gonna put plastic pipe in. What's the big deal? And he gave me this quick tap dance about, oh, my liability and my insurance. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I just went to the local building shop. I got a jackhammer with a wide blade, and I was shoveling. Took me 5 days. And then I had my plumber come around, and he and I put in the line. But I'm telling you, when I was finished digging that trench, I looked just like Drake. I was ripped up. Oh, I was.
Still got the magic, man. Still got it.
I still got the. Dude, I'm 65, but I still have a 6-pack. So I'm going.
Hey, nice.
Oh yeah, I'm going good. So yeah. But really, seriously, thanks to everyone. Thanks to you. Thanks to Renee and Celebrity Pros and Cons and Rick Mandriotti. That's really great. Thanks, guys. I let me build up some more work, and we'll do this again.
I would love to have you on again, man. Honestly, there's loads of movies, TV show appearances and stuff I'd love to talk to you about. So, if you're available later in the year, that'd be awesome, man. But
I would love to. I'd love to. And if when I get back to Scotland again, we got to get together and drink some real whiskey, not that stuff you've got there.
I've got some good whiskey on my shelf, so I would happily have you around anytime, man. Honestly,
Okay, cool.
It'd be a pleasure.
Lovely. Awesome. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Great having you on tonight. Thanks, man.
Real pleasure. Thanks, brother.
All right. Thank you. I will take you out now. All right. It is just I, you fellow drinkers. I will get through the rest of the super chats tonight. It was fucking awesome having Mark on tonight. Yeah, he was a great guest. Loved having him. And yeah, I will answer any super chats that are left over. So give me 1 second while I bring it up. All right, here we go. So go back to the beginning so I don't miss anything. JS Pena says one of the cast of Aliens, nice drinker. Yeah, it was absolutely great having Mark on. Chucksenhausen said, I must ask, in Aliens, if you had Hawk from Cobra Kai and with you on the team, how much of a legendary beatdown would he have put on the aliens? Well, yeah, I reckon Hawk could have taken them pretty much. Yeah, he's kind of a badass. As long as he's got a mohawk, he'd be all right. Next one was Nick B says, hey, drinker, man, you look just like I feel. Indeed, yeah. Pretty rough, but like, what can I do? That's the face that I got. Next one was, I'm scrolling past the ones that we've already done. Okay, name's Ryan, 50 years ago, says, hey drinker, I listen to your videos at work and it makes my days go by quicker than it should. Strong, diverse female character. Indeed. Yeah, we had Vasquez back in the day. She was fucking incredible. Loved her. Next one, just skipping past the ones that I've already done. Yeah, Jar of Mayo says, I wish I could tell you that Drinker fought the good fight. I wish I could tell you that, but Scotland is no fairy tale world. It really fucking isn't. But yeah, I'm fighting the good fight. What can I say? Yeah, John Ochiltree says, hey, Boggs, has anyone got at you yet? I think he's doing all right. I think he's doing okay, is Mark. Douglas A. Burton says, Drinker and Drake, cheers, motherfuckers. Thank you. Yeah, it was a pleasure to have Mark on tonight. WJ Valente says, the amount of makeup and time spent doing it is enough for me to steer clear from acting. Yeah, I mean, it depends what kind of movie you're in, I suppose, but yeah, if you're going to do stuff like what Mark had to do for Aliens, damn, yeah, that's some extreme shit right there. RRTNZ says, thanks, Mark and Drinker, for such a great stream. Fantastic hearing Mark's insights and experiences. Have one of me, lads. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate it. Kaz said, do you guys really have to read the Heinlein novel Starship Troopers for the Aliens role? Oh, I wish Mark could have answered that. Sorry. I did hear that they had to read that just to get them into character. I hope it's true. John O'Coursey says, Delahunt, I gave you the wrong address, but you showed up at the right one. Wicked piss of a kid, but no one's bringing up that Mark worked with Scorsese. Well, Mark brought it up himself, so it was okay. Deleted Scene says, thank you, Mr. Rolston, for joining us today and giving us insights into two of my favorite movies, Aliens and Shawshank. Well, there you go. He did indeed. Used Web Cartridge says, Mark, is there anything in film or television in recent years that you've really enjoyed? Also, you crushed it in as Norman Osborn. I truly hope you get the Green Goblin as well. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mark can't answer that one, but yeah, we did talk about like kind of recent um, film and TV stuff that was going on. I know that he apparently enjoys Cobra Kai, so I'm all right with that. Night King 01 says, I want to know if you're ever going to see you voice Deathstroke in DCAU again, since I loved you in Arkham Origins. I really hope he does. Rocksteady says, too long. Shawshank is 2 hours and 22 minutes. Love it, Mark. Nice. Fucking great movie. Multi Rider says, I love Rush Hour and Saw movies with Mark and brief part in Lethal Weapon 2. By the way, Drinker needs to get Glenlivet or Macallan, the good stuff. Don't worry, I've got an entire shelf full of the good stuff. I just don't break it out on the live streams because, you know, what can I say? I need some Coke to go with my whiskey, and I'm not gonna mix good malt whiskey with shitty mixers. Daniel V says, big fan of Mark. Could you ask him about the couple of shows he did on season 4 of Supernatural? Curious as to his experience and how he crafted the character Alexter. Yeah, so I think he talked about that a little bit already. Marcos A says, Avatar, The Way of the Water finished its first 24-hour online window with 148 million views. People interested are peaked. I mean, they clearly are because, you know, it was a hell of a movie back in the day. It was like one of those defining films of the late 2000s. And it's James Cameron. So he's got that fucking brand associated with him. I don't know if that's going to translate into views when it actually comes out, but man, wait and see, I suppose. Mephisto Xerxes says, hail to you, Mark. You appeared on the Star Trek Next Generation episode as a, I won't spoil it for you, but did you have any memories of being on the Enterprise D set? Yeah, so Mark talked about that already. Apparently, the doors are not as slick as they appeared on the screen. Astro Nerdboy says, Mark, love your work on Alien, Shawshank, Next Generation, Babylon 5. How was it working with June Lockhart? Oh, yeah, he talked about that. Michael Donovan gave me a super sticker, so thank you very much. Craig Rowe Jr. says, can you ask him about if he liked how Voltron ended? I don't know, I'm afraid. Sorry. Daniel Monroe says, question for Mark. As a Scottish guy going for a piss is the same equivalent of an English tea break. I mean, I can't tell how he felt in that moment, but yeah, hopefully he was okay with me leaving for a minute or so. Cold Hetrade says, Mark, please give NECA the rights to use your likeness for a Drake action figure. Their current Drake sucks. Well, hopefully they fix it. Squally says, maximum respect to you gentlemen for doing this. If I had to make a drink for each of you, what would you have? Keep on keeping on. Have a great weekend. I would like a Negroni, please, because it's hard and bitter, just like me. Jin Korea says, well, what an awesome guest we have today. Love you, aliens. Have a good, uh, love you and aliens and a host of good movies. You all been hail to you, drinker. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate it. Douglas Burton says, Mark, you should have been cast in The Long Lost Brother. Oh, yeah, we did that one. Cobra Kai. Chad Buster Morgan says, well, Mark Rolston, what a legend. He is indeed. He was great to have on. Ben says, love Mark's work. What's his take on how the industry has changed over 30 years? Oh, yeah, we talked about that too. Lucas O says, how was his Fallout experience? Did he play the other games? So I think he said to me he's not a gamer, but he's interested in the performance aspect of the game. So I think he likes that part of it. But yeah, I think he kind of hopes that there's still going to be a place for cinema. Jin Korea says, Mr. Rolston, have you ever done any anime dub projects and would you ever be interested? I don't know if he's done them, but I know he's done quite a lot of voiceover work, so that's what I got so far. Um, let me just refresh the list. Oh yeah, MM says, have you watched RRR Indian film yet? Thoughts? I haven't watched it, I'm afraid, so I don't have any thoughts. Multi Dryer says, what do you think of being in the Saw movies? I don't know what he thought about it, but I thought his character was pretty good in it, and yeah, he avoided like the horrific torture that most people go through. So I think he did okay. BFA 212 says, Mark, loved seeing you and everyone in Bill Paxton's music video for Martini Ranch's Reach. Hope it was fun to do. I hope so too. Next one was Douglas Burton says, hey Mark, I'm a collector and I have all the good aliens NECA figures. Can you tell us who and how to contact NECA to request Private Drake? Let's do this. I don't know if he knows that, to be fair. Tactical Ninja says, Mark, you've been in two of my all-time favorite films, Aliens and The Shawshank Redemption. It's great to see you here on Drinker Stream. Cheers. It was great to have him on. Fucking brilliant. Bloke with superpowers says, from Daisy and I, a pleasure to finally catch one of your live streams and not find you full of whiskey, snack, and haggis. Well, I'm full of whiskey, that's for fucking sure. Ben Kenobi says, Drinker, are you aware that your Drake Book 2 and only Book 2 is geo-blocked in Kindle for Australia? What the fuck? I read the first one and wanted to read more, but it was not to be. I'm going to talk to my publishers about that because that's bullshit right there. Midian X says, great work. Thank you. Cheers, man. Thank you for your donation. Claudio Rogojan says, did you know it was him in Spider-Man as Norman? I did not fucking know that, but I do now. Ethereum Apex says, shame I got on so late, missed the Q&A. I'm happy to support your drinking habit either way. Cheers. Thank you, man. I'll raise a glass to you. Exotic Player says, legendary VIP guest tonight. Drinker, you entertaining bastard. Keep it frosty. Thank you. Ben says, we need a Bog spin-off series called The Sisters, a new kind of anti-hero. Fucking make it happen. Honestly, Netflix will do it. Claudia Rogajan says, Mark mentioned getting Jackie Chan on here. That would be the most epic thing to happen on your channel, Drinker. Wouldn't that be a talk for the ages? I don't know, man. If I could have him or Ralph Macchio or William Zabka, any of them would be just fine for me. That'd be all right. Teo89 says, I'm still keen on a Mandalorian director's cut where Drinker staggers into that scene with the 501st target and Grogu to save the day with the power of a rampaging plot device, narrative convenience, and booze. Mostly booze. I would say that, yeah. I mean, considering I could barely even read that statement out, I think you're doing all right there. That's a pretty good suggestion to me. Claudia Rogajan says, when's the member stream, Drinker? So that is for people on Patreon. I will probably do one in the next week, I think. Yeah, I've been kind of like tied up with other stuff, but I'm pretty much done now, so I can do that, and I would love to do that. Last one here says, In and Out said, at what point did you stop watching Picard season 2? For me, it was after episode 5. I just didn't watch it at all. I thought about watching episode 1, and I just couldn't do it. I had no interest in watching it, and I thought, no, I'm not going to do that to myself. No interest, and yeah, I feel better for it. I just don't want to watch Picard anymore. Star Trek is not Star Trek anymore, so I'm happy to just say goodbye to it. Um, what is this? From Daisy and I, you're starting to get big with quite a following for your critiques here. What are your plans for the future? Total world domination. I don't fucking know, man. I'm just enjoying it as it comes, and hey, if I get to talk to these people that were in movies that I fucking loved as a kid, I'm happy with that. It's like all my childhood dreams come true. Another cracking lounge, thanks. Cheers, man. Hopefully we were entertaining for you. Uh, right. What's this one? Can your mods get on an invite to the member stream? Well, if they're on Patreon, then for sure. And I will next time I do a stream like that, I will actually send the invite to my mods through Twitter because I've got a group there. And yeah, if they want to come on, it would be great because those guys do an incredible job. Um, yeah, they obviously have to work their asses off when there's streams like this, but I very much appreciate what they do. Um, but yeah, when the next time we have a drinkers um, sort of stream for Patreon and stuff, I will bring them in. But yeah, for tonight, it's been awesome. It's been great having everyone involved in this. It's been great having Mark on, um, an incredible guest. It's been great to talk to him, and his insights into like the movie industry has been awesome. So I'm gonna finish up there. Um, so I guess I just want to say thank you to all you guys. Thank you to my mods for doing the great work that they did. Um, Thank you for everyone that's donated tonight for super chats and everything. And yeah, I will catch you next time. So yeah, that for now is all I've got for today. So go away now.